It's time for Twig This Week in Google. This week, the return of Stacey Higginbotham. Paris Martineau's also here. Jeff Jarvis. We have a beautiful song, a sea shanty, custom written by our AI just for Craig Newmark. We'll play that. We'll talk about how you keep cows from eating too much metal, or maybe what to do after they've eaten too much metal. I wasn't completely clear. Stacey recommends a really depressing book, and we talk about how AI really is just a code term for eugenics. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 764, recorded Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. Cow magnets. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest news from Google. Somebody suggested, we've already gone through This Week in general. Somebody suggested last week we should call it This Week in Giggles. There will be giggles aplenty this week because we're going to have some fun. Jeff Jarvis did not go to Italy, so he's here. We thought, well, he won't be here. You know, it'd be really great to have Paris Martineau from The Information. She's here, and have her joined by our former beloved co-host, Stacey Higginbotham, who's also here, now policy fellow at Consumer Reports. But all four of us are here. So get ready for This Week in Giggles, because we're going to have some fun. Now, before we go too far, you remember we were playing with Suno last week, the AI music generator. Still I think very impressive. There's another one that came out right after it called Udio, which is audio without the A, I guess, or studio without the ST.
You know, it's a sign of a good name when you have to explain it immediately.
What is Udio? But I've tried them both, and I think Suno does the best. So we thought, we always play Craig Newmark's choral work when we introduced Jeff Jarvis, Townite Professor of Journalistic Innovation at the, now wait a minute. Craig Newmark. J School at the City University of New York. But we have I had Suno shortly after our show last week, and it blew me away. I thought, let's make something new for Craig. So I asked it to write a song about Craig, and as you know, Craig is his number one charity is pigeons. After journalism.
Well, not number one, but
after
what prompt did you give it?
I think I just said, write a sea shanty about Craig Newmark celebrating his love of pigeons. And this is what we got.
Silence.
Stunned.
Benito's scrambling.
Fill in your own song.
I did send you the link, right, Benito? Do you have to?
It's
I
hard
can't
to
play
get audio these days.
I don't know what's happening. That was a good one.
That's my fault. Okay, here we go.
And this is what happened.
In the land of the internet, there was a man named Craig. He had a passion for pigeons, like no one could explain. He sailed the web's vast ocean in search of pigeon lore. His love for these feathery friends forever to explore. Oh, Craig Newmark, pigeon man, you sail the virtual sea with your feathered companions, as free as they can be. Oh, Craig Newmark, pigeon man, your heart takes to the skies in a world of zeros and ones. You find joy in pigeons' eyes. With every click and scroll, Craig's love began to grow. He built a platform, a nest where pigeon lovers could go. From city streets to rooftops, the pigeons took to flight. Craig's passion became a movement, spreading far and wide. Oh, Craig Newmark, pigeon man, you sail the virtual sea with your feathered companions. as free as they can be. Oh, rain, Newmark, Pigeon man, your heart takes to the skies in a world of zeros and ones. You find joy in Pigeon's eyes.
Isn't that amazing? That was AI generated in under a minute.
It's my favorite thing about it is that it equated platform and nest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think I said anything. I might have mentioned Craigslist. It seems as if Suno does do some extra research, because in other songs I've created, it has pulled in stuff that so that was not in the prompt, and I think that it might, add some of its own. But pretty.
I think this is the good one. Do you want to play the other one just so that people can judge?
Sure, but I have to.
You have to share it with Benito. Sorry,
I have to give it to Benito. You know what? Let's see. How could I do this? Yeah, I'll say we'll do it for later in the show.
Put it in the Discord.
I have a lot more of these. I was
going to say, I'm tried to make quite a few.
Oh, really?
And some of them ended up better than others as far as Twig theme songs go.
I think we're close to getting a better theme song, to be honest.
Oh, no more Renaissance Fair?
Well, I was going to do a Ren Fair style show that maybe said Paris, Leo, and Jeff and something like that. Okay. I don't know. Here, I'll work on that. Here, let's do that.
Paris, do you have one to share too? From your
I have one. I think I sent
repertoire
in our email chain, but Renaissance is a better theme. I was trying to figure out. I was playing around with Suno and quickly hit my limit on the free credits and was like, I'm not paying money for this. But it is interesting, Leo, that you mentioned that you think it kind of does its own research on it. Because I found I had to be very specific with the things that I wanted, and it wouldn't make the sort of obvious logical leaps that I assumed it would. When it came to
it's a mystery lyrics. How the whole thing works. It's really a mystery.
But it's really
I ended up paying for it. Because, by the way, there is a reason to pay for it. Oh, I think it was $99 for a year. Mm-hmm. But the reason to pay for it, they're smart. It's in the fine print. If you generate it with the free account, you don't own the rights to the song, but it's royalty free if you pay. So I can use it as our theme song. Here, I tell you what, I will copy this link that I just generated. I'll put it, where's best to put it, Benito? In the show notes?
The doc, yeah, the doc's the best.
The doc? Okay. So I just had it, while we were talking, generated something new. And let me insert a row. And this is, I don't know, Stacey, you can be the independent third-party judge. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Command-Shift-V. You can be the
Today I learned.
Before the show started, Leo and Jeff learned about Command-Shift-V. Previously, they'd been using God knows what techniques in order to paste things without
because we're old and we don't like to learn new things.
This is a possible new theme song. And, the reason I chose this terrible theme song, and Stacey has lived with this for years, and so did Jeff, and actually it goes back to even Gina, is because it was I wanted a contrapuntal kind of, round, like you talked and I talked and we talked, like that, but it didn't work.
Oh, there was actually a method to it? You actually had a rationale behind that song?
Also because it was royalty free. I paid for it. Now,
I thought it was just royalty free.
Yeah, it sounded royalty free too. I think Suno does better stuff. But Benito, play our new, I haven't listened to it. This is sight unseen.
Curious though, if this takes off, if we will start to associate, because we have the same associations, like you just said, with royalty-free music sounding royalty-free. I wonder if in like a couple of years we'll be like,
absolutely.
It so sounds Suno. It sounds AI generated.
Oh,
try weeks, not years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Benito is a skeptic.
That's Benito fearing he's going to be replaced.
A tale of love unfolds a flare.
Maiden's Fair?
I don't think we can have Maiden's Fair in there. I'm sorry.
This is like a long-haired redhead on a rock who's like
Stacey disapproved within
She's holding a
millisecond.
Yes. Wait, it's the Outlander soundtrack.
It didn't do anything I asked it to do.
Just like the stories told of folklore.
Okay, I pasted one. in
What
there
did
as
you
well.
prompt it with?
What
was
did
the
you
prompt,
write,
Leo?
Leo?
I've heard nothing about technology.
I said a Ren Fair style madrigal for the show This Week in Google, starring Jeff, Leo, and Paris. But this did not. Let me try again. How about a
Renaissance romance.
Paris,
that was
at
a
least
mistake.
you were a maiden fair in this.
As
Yeah.
opposed to honey, which is what Leo called Stacy to get her mad many times.
Hey, stop it! She's going to punch me, even though I'm not even in the studio. Well, what should the style be for this?
I've got Paris's one here.
Go. Let's hear Paris's.
It's rock themed, and it did generate one.
Into the show where the tech news begins. Leo, Jeff, and Paris on the mic, bringing you the scoop day and night. This week in Google, this week in general, covering all the topics, no digital details too small. From the latest gadgets to the tech trends, they're the experts, they'll keep you in the know.
Is this Blink 182 inspired?
It's Blink 182.
San Jose.
We're leading the way.
Geriatrics
Geriatrics.
leading the way. You did that, didn't you? That's not the machine.
I
You
did,
said-
so it took a couple times, but I had to be like, you got to mention This Week in Geriatrics, which Stacy is our alternative name to pay
All right.
respect to Jeff and Leo.
Paris, you should tell Stacy
I vote
how
for
your
that one.
friend characterized the show.
Oh, when I first started doing this, I got a text from my friend saying, how's that podcast going that you're doing with your two dads?
Yes.
I was like, pretty good.
Stacy knows all about that, doesn't she?
I have definitely, called them old on at least more than one occasion.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to play one more, and then we're going to really stop. This is a very, very bad habit. But that's what happens when you discover this AI stuff. There's some really interesting stuff happening. Music is pretty easy. And I think, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, that all this is going to do is make more valuable the human created stuff, because only humans can do kind of unexpected, quirky, weird things. The AI just does the mediocre. So, but as it turns out, podcast theme songs are generally on the mediocre side at best.
Yes. Endorse.
It's all right. You want to play this one? This is medieval, I think. It's the fourth one.
Land of knights and castles we reside. Tale of bravery and honor.
Maybe you should prompt it with like lutes.
Leo and Paris.
Paris. Paris.
And true. On a quest
Untrue.
for glory as the sky.
Have you thought about putting in that it's a tech podcast?
Yeah.
Medals we
Computers.
ride with hearts of fire, charging forward.
It does have our names in there. That's good.
Swords in hand, our shining.
I'm going to start calling you Sir Leo, Sir Jeff, and Sir Paris.
Thank you.
Lady Paris, please.
No, I'm a knight.
If you're a knight, you're a sir.
Oh. Baroness Paris.
Yeah.
Rhymes.
Paranus.
That's awful.
Yeah,
rough.
you know what?
This is terrible.
It is
Nothing
terrible.
will hit as hard as the Lorem Ipsum Gregorian chant one.
That
you
was
played.
pretty
I think
good.
We're just trying to.
That was pretty good. I think we
Reach that
need to
high.
move on now. But thank you.
I'm not
Thank you.
using my podcast music anymore. So
What's
if you would like
yours?
the IoT pod, I don't remember
Oh.
it, but
Is
but
it
people
real
like
Can you
it.
hum a few bars?
I can't anymore. I'm so sorry. I'll send it over. It's royalty free.
It's royalty free. That's all I care about at this point. Anything, if I don't have to pay for it, I like it. I'm going to put in one more, but we're not going to play it. I'm just going to put it in, and then you decide what you want to do. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, let's actually, I'm going to put, Benito, you got some more work to do. We want to do some video today because this is a sad day. This is a day to say goodbye to Atlas, the Boston Dynamic robot that gave us such nightmares for so many years. Boston Dynamics did that dog, which was terrifying. But Atlas, I don't know about you, Stacey, but Atlas really scared the pants off of me.
The dog is still more terrifying, but I'm with you. Atlas is also like thing I see in my nightmares.
So, Benito, there's on line 26. Well, actually, there's a farewell video. Where did I put that? Here it is, line 30. Boston retires its robot Atlas. And what they did with the Boston Dynamics did to say goodbye is they made a highlight reel of some of the great moments from Atlas. Atlas is the robot, remember, they tried to kick and push over. And anyway, watch this. Poor Benito. I'm making him work hard today. Normally, I play these audio and video cues from my own computer.
Now, something's up with this page. It's giving me just a white.
Because he put it in a dark mode.
There it is. Okay, go down, scroll down, because below it is an action. Play the whole video.
I see.
Go
That's
full screen on that. Play the whole video. This is the farewell.
He's so stocky.
Can you go full screen? There you go. And play the sound too. Yeah, that was.
This does not help my nightmares at all.
This is the old robot. I told you it was scary.
He's gone, Stacey.
He could always rise again.
You know what, though? Watch, because they're going to make you feel better in just a second.
Atlas is not going to have any children.
Walking over rocks.
That's fun. Getting hit with a 20-pound
ball.
Opening doors.
Walking on an
Rolling down
incline.
a hill. Picking up boxes. This is the one where they're so mean.
Yeah.
So mean. So this Atlas is based on hydraulics. Oh, God. Oh, geez.
Why is there so much dust coming out of it when it jumps?
Wait, watch.
No, that's fluid.
They're going to show you fluid. They're going to show you the hydraulic fluid pouring out of a broken limb.
Oh,
In fact, maybe we should warn people, a trigger warning on this, because it's pretty. Oh, my God. Oh, God. No.
Oh, no.
Did you see that? Whoa.
Blood colored.
It was, well, coffee colored. I mean,
Yeah.
It was copper colored, yeah.
it's oil, I guess. Anyway,
Alien
Atlas, thank you for many years of entertaining pratfalls and tumbles. I think it's great that Boston Dynamics has such a sense of humor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
This is their wildly expensive product.
but
there's a
they're
ton of
making
this
progress. They're making progress. He's rolling all the way down the hill. All right, now if you go back to the line 26, this is the new Boston Dynamics electric version of Atlas. And they decided to keep the name, interestingly. So no more hydraulics. Now these are all electric actuators. And it's a friendlier face. You see, there's a video also for this.
That is not friendlier.
No, that's way more. It
It's
is
a
the
blank
void.
disc.
Yeah.
That is
with the
worse.
ring light, so it can like
You
broadcast
want to get
your
terrified?
demise.
Watch. It's lying down.
It's got
prone.
fists.
How's it going to get up? Like that.
Like the Exorcist girl.
Yeah. No. It's got a tight butt.
Yeah. There's no front to that one. It can go anywhere you want it to go. So get ready, because here come the robots. Thank you, Boston Dynamics.
Oh.
Did you guys see the Boston
farewell
Dynamics cowboy robot dog video? No. Do those words make any sense to you?
If you had woman television, and I think I know where we're going. Let's see.
It's a line 27.
Damned, your ship was never packed.
I've been thinking about this all week.
Working, did your truck break down? Did you
Well, this is a real human, right?
It's a real human, and then
So far
there's
as
the
we
robot
know.
dog. It's dancing with it. I think it's beautiful.
That thing will never be cute. It will always be terrifying.
Oh, no, it's
Look at
definitely
it.
terrifying, but this is kind of mesmerizing. I don't know. This
It's
came across my
huge.
TikTok feed, and I've been thinking
It's
about
very
it.
TikTok.
It's called Spot. It's from Spot Talk, which is just a bunch of weird things people have trained the Spot
Spot
dog
to do.
to do.
There was a Spot that got shot.
A spot got shot?
A spot got shot. I think it was up in Alaska. And
That
the
makes
person
sense.
who,
Why am I not
it does.
surprised? You know?
But I don't know if it stopped it or not, but there were fines
Well, that's
involved.
the thing.
So
If it didn't stop it, now I'm scared.
yeah, well,
So there is, of course, AI in all of these robots.
okay, these robots were terrifying before they had AI, and AI has just been veneered over the robot now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
One of the demo videos they showed of the new Atlas, the electric Atlas, is it can grasp random arbitrary objects. So it can look at an object and figure out where its pinchers go and close it and lift it up and move it around. So it's really the idea. By the way, Boston Dynamics was purchased by Hyundai. And so the first use of this new electric robot will be in the Hyundai factory floor where it will be lifting auto parts and moving them around and positioning them and so forth.
it was purchased by Hyundai from Google.
Right.
Who sold
I
it.
think, yeah, there was a Google in the, I think.
Yeah, Boston
anyway,
Dynamics used to be independent. Then
Right.
Google bought it.
Google
and then
was in the middle.
And then Google didn't
Google
want
was
to be
like-
in the weapon robot.
yeah,
business.
I don't want to make evil robotic dogs. That's
Not
a
good for them.
problem.
Yeah.
It's not good. No. Anyway, thank you, Atlas, for giving us loads of laughs and more than a few nightmares. Did you see the Marques Brownlee review of the Humane AI pin? The worst product I've ever reviewed.
I just saw all the blowback from it,
And there was huge blowback, which
Huge
surprises me.
blowback.
which is ridiculous.
I
What
mean, I
have we
think
done?
people think that reviewers exist to hype up products. I mean, you see the same sort of blowback if a news outlet gives a bad review to a video game nowadays.
We're all product stans today, and that's where we're at. And it's a shame because
The biggest
Marques Brownlee
complaint,
is great.
yeah, the biggest complaint was on Twitter. I won't say the guy. It feels like most of the people were upset were either friends of the Humane Company or more importantly, investors or friends of investors. But the biggest negative tweet came from somebody who said, Marques Brownlee, a guy with 180 million followers and billions of views, just killed this company.
Oh, geez.
Well, yeah.
Suicide.
You know what killed the company? Yeah, is a bad product.
Putting a bad product up before it's ready and charging people for it. That's what Benedict Evans on Twitter said. He said, I want to pile on, but you sell a product, you say it's going to work, you charge money for it, it doesn't work. What do you expect?
Excellent blog post from a guy named Steven Sandovsky about all of this, in which he says, effectively, companies are taking the Apple playbook to create these products, and that is not the right way to do it. Let me see if I can find his post.
The Apple playbook being releasing your hardware in alpha or beta and letting your first buyers beta test it.
Well, actually, Apple doesn't do that, really.
It did it with the
Vision Pro. And it's the first
and it
time
did it
they've
with the
done that.
watch. I would say they did it with the watch.
Sorry, it's Benjamin Sandovsky. Oh, the Humanity is the name of his blog. Why you can't build Apple with venture capital. And he talks about the Humane. They raised 6 years ago $230 million to ship the pin. But he says it is a bad product. It deserves to be a bad product. But this is what venture capital does. He says you have to understand how VCs think. Rich people and rich organizations think pension funds and billion-dollar college endowments don't throw all their money in a savings account in the stock market. They have so much money, they could place bets in alternative investments. These are hedge funds, real estate, or venture capital. In other words, throw a lot of money at a ton of startups, knowing that most of your investments will lose money. But every so often, you'll get one that's so big it pays back. It's kind of the Hollywood hit model for making movies. He said, so they were able to raise money because Humane was founded by a couple. By the way, he says that is immediately red flag number one. Never invest in a company that's founded by a couple. But
Wired. turned out okay.
That's Wired is a good example of a success, but and then Twit is a couple, but there's most of them no. And maybe that's
sorry.
Hello,
sorry.
Is that my wife? Tell her I'm.
Is that a landline or is that?
He does have a landline.
I do have the landline, but this is.
Oh, you just have the landline on your phone. Okay.
Spam risk.
He has a landline. It is rung. The other problem was that the guy worked at Apple designing the first iPhone. And so that pedigree helped. But ultimately, really, what Humane was a laser projector that they added AI later on and made it be more of a post-iPhone device, right?
But isn't the problem that it doesn't return answers that are useful?
The problem was that it was slow and the laser gets hot.
The laser gets hot. The battery dies very quickly. And the way they solved that, they knew that was the case. So they have swappable batteries. So you carry around a pocket of batteries and put in your pin. He also compared it to the Secret, which was a bracelet that you would put on your wrist and that would project with laser light a screen. So you didn't need to carry a phone, right? That also never worked well.
These are efforts, Stacey, at our blob.
Yeah, Amazon had one. It was their kids' toy that had a projection screen.
That's right.
I can't think of what it was called. They killed that, but we've been waiting for viable, interactive projections for a long time to give us, like our blob, Jeff, which is the next form factor to get us away from this cell phone.
And Stacey, there was also the projected keyboard too that you could type on any surface.
So. Good piece. Benjamin Sandofsky. The Humanity is the name of the piece from Sandofsky.com.
Are you really happy
sure
you didn't buy one, Leo?
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. And I was surprised that people were so upset about Marquez's review. I didn't buy it because I looked at it. I said, this is a non-starter. I wasn't interested.
Real people weren't upset. Real people don't even know what the Humane Pen is.
You're right.
Yeah,
Excellent point. Some guy on Twitter was upset.
And that guy is not a real person.
The Twitter class, the Twitterati has shrunk to a very
left of them
definable, class of grievances, I would say.
But it was, I thought it was a weird take on, excuse me, my phone is ringing. I thought I had.
See, it's not just me.
All of you guys are getting calls. Stacey, we've got to get some calls coming in.
I know how to use Do Not Disturb.
What was that?
I thought
I've had Do Not Disturb on for 8 years.
I was like, my phone's never able to ring.
I can't remember the last time I heard my phone ring, frankly. But no, I think that part of the issue here, which I think that Sandofsky piece gets at, Leo, is that maybe the reaction to this product would have been different if Humane wasn't like their pitch is predicated on we're redefining a generation of products. We are creating the next iPhone, the next interface for the internet. If they, were able to shoot smaller to begin with, being like, this is an interesting way to augment your cell phone use, or kind of have it be perhaps in the niche of like a smartwatch, but with that laser kind of projection capability, it might have been a different story. But because of the way venture capital works, you don't get VC funding unless you have a huge momentous idea that warrants all that hundreds of millions of dollars. So of course it's going to end up falling flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to go to the mass with VC. And I think we're seeing some real problems here with this, because stuff that should be funded at like research universities where we're testing out the concepts more, we've kind of decimated that type of funding. So we're not getting those incremental efforts. And all of our incremental efforts are now being funneled into VC things where they have to hit big, where they can't afford to try something that works for a little while. So actually, the way Amazon tried this kind of projection screen, Bosch has one that they've tested in appliances for in your oven hood, for example, to project a recipe down on. Those are the right places to see that. Probably, and to kind of test these out in different iterations to get it to a mass point.
Yeah.
Well, Stacey, here's a question though. I wonder whether now the money's rushing into AI at huge valuations. I've been arguing with media, we move from mass down to a human scale. I wonder whether the VC world moves to smaller things, or they're just too addicted to scale.
Well, okay. So the VCs, there's more, like I've covered venture capital since 2000 because I'm old. So I saw that first growth of VC. We're like, how big can VC get? And then we had like the 2008 kind of crash, and we're like, oh my God, it can't get any bigger. But then it got bigger. And so you have all of this money, and it does have to go somewhere because they have 7 to 10 years to make a return. And like y'all are saying, that baseball or Hollywood analogy, they have to make it big. So you have more funds going to, I won't say more firms. I mean, there are more firms, but they're still the big, huge ones. And until they start like not generating the returns, because they are still, if you're in one of the big funds, you're still getting the returns that are good for the LPs. So I don't see how this, I feel like we have to have a revolution to stop this. I'm being so dead serious. We have to get to a point where we're like, oh, maybe chasing returns isn't the end all be all of society, because that's kind of where we are.
You're not alone. We've had David Kantrowitz on, who does the Big Technology Show, and he said for a long time the financialization of the tech sector has really been a problem. That it's harmed it. It's harmed innovation. Now, I did just buy two things. I passed on the Humane pin, but I did and I passed on the Vision Pro. I didn't see either one of those as important. But I did buy two things, and both of them should come in the next couple of months. So I want to talk about that in just a sec. But before we do, I want to take a little break. Stacey Higginbotham is here. So nice to see you, Stacey. So how's it going at Consumer Reports?
Oh, it's going great. Yeah. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm working on all this crazy, like I'm learning how laws really get passed. And that's exciting.
Is it depressing you?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Yes, it is depressing. But
good, because we have some stuff. We have some laws. Your Senator Maria Cantwell has a little bill in Congress right now. We'll talk about those. I would love to get your input on that. You don't have to speak for Consumer Reports, but your
I'll just speak for me.
Will be useful. Yes, it's really nice to have you. We miss you. You also shuttered your IoT podcast, right? What is Kevin Toffel doing these days?
He's working at Wawa.
Oh, is he pushing carts?
Likes it.
Is he bagging?
No, he got sick of being on all the time. So he's stalking and he's like talking to people. He's
still learning computers as he does.
He basically works at Wawa and then codes the rest of the time.
You're not joking?
He's having a great time.
No.
He's working at a supermarket?
Well, a convenience store.
It's got to be
it's more of a Wawa, Leo, you have to understand, is more of a cult than a store.
Yeah, it's like Buc-ee's.
I've gone to Wawa. I went to Wawa once a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, the hype, it's overblown. I went there once. It's not overblown. It's phenomenal. Every single gas station should be like Wawa.
The pretzels are oversold, though.
The amount of coffee creamer options, just the amount of coffee options generally, mind-blowing.
Maybe Kevin should do a Wawa podcast. It sounds like there might be an audience for that.
It could be called
this week on the Wawa podcast. Creamers. Do you want them dark and rich or light and fluffy? Your choice.
We need Kevin to judge, I think, the menu options for us.
Yeah. Wow.
Does get a free sandwich every day.
Wow.
Oh, really? Free? When I work in Ponderosa, we just got a discount.
Honestly, the same. I shouldn't say anything because if Club Twit doesn't work, it's me eating beans and working out of the local
Leo,
Costco.
for those listening, is holding an actual can of beans and spooning them into his mouth right
with
now.
the top still on, like he's a hobo.
He hasn't fully taken off the top.
I didn't even heat them up. I'm just eating.
I was going to say they can't be warm because it's unless
you can't microwave a can.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm like, would you stick it in a pot and then
he did a sous vide of the can.
You put the can on top of a fire. You put the can on a fire.
Yeah, you put it on a fire. Smart. That's all. You just need a little fire. My mom moved out in October. There is in the fridge. There's a jar of maraschino cherries. I guess those never go bad. There was a can of baked beans. There was a peanut butter. and some frozen bread, and I've been living on that for the last week. So don't knock it, all right?
You can order groceries on the internet.
Oh,
man.
groceries. I didn't think of that.
Guys, let me tell you, everybody out there right now, listen to me carefully. You have to join the club to save Leo.
Please.
Serious, you have to save him. At least let him get a microwave to heat the beans.
If you don't join the club, it'll just be...
At least let him buy a hot dog to go with him, for God's sakes.
Let him get some toast for his beans.
Join the club.
Join the club. Club Twit. Twit.tv/Club Twit. $7 a month. You could save this man eating beans. But that's not what I'm here to talk about.
Next, he's going to sell everything behind him on eBay.
You want my childhood
you want a clock?
Train? Trinkets? You want a clock? You see this head? This is carved out of wood. Solid wood. Anyway, no, this is all mom's stuff. We're I don't know what we're gonna do. You know, that's the hard part, right? She's happy in the home, but the house is full of stuff. All right. Moving along. Let's talk about our sponsor for the show today, Eufy. Eufy. You know the Eufy brand. I know, Stacey. In fact, you've talked before about Anchor. We love Anchor. This is the Eufy Video Smart Lock. Here's Micah installing it with just a Phillips screwdriver. It slots right in. Now, here's what's cool about this. It does double duty. Instead of getting a video doorbell and a smart lock, you get it all in one. The Video Smart Lock E330. Very easy to install. It's battery powered. The battery lasts up to 4 months, easily recharges. It's a 10,000 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. You get a low battery notification before it runs out. There's the battery right there. So it's easy to take out. You can even have a second battery, pop it in. That makes it very simple. But there's one thing I really love about this Eufy door lock. It has a keyhole. So if the battery dies, you can still open the door with a key. Imagine that. Fingerprint reader, 0.3 second fingerprint recognition, 1 second unlocking. Watch this. The embedded AI self-learning chip becomes more accurate with every use. You have passcode unlocking. You can share that passcode with somebody. It has remote control. There's 2K clear sight camera on it, two-way audio. You could talk to people. Enhanced night vision. There's Burke trying to get it. He's saying, I need to get in. And Mike is going to say, okay, I'll let you in. He unlocks the door. Look at that. Here's the thing I love about this. No monthly subscription fee. And your videos are stored locally. You don't have to worry about the privacy. You never have to pay for storage. This is a really good product from Eufy. We love Eufy. We love Anchor. They've made a very nice video lock. The 3-in-1 triple security Video Smart Lock, the E330. Again, no monthly fees. You store your videos locally. If you make it part of the whole Eufy Smart Home solution, they have a hub, which means you can store lots more video, but it stores a lot on its own. You can enjoy a worry-free experience with an 18-month warranty and Eufy's fantastic 24/7 customer service team. Stacey, I know you like the smart home thing. This might be the next smart home doohickey for you, the Eufy Video Smart Lock E330. Now, here's how you find out more. You go to Amazon and search Eufy Video Lock, EUFY, or go to eufy.com, EUFY.com. You also see it in stores. Your home improvement store will certainly have it. And we thank Eufy for their support. There's some more of the stuff in the Eufy smart home line. It's a really cool line. And I love the company Anchor. I love what they do. This has been a great little door lock for our engineering department. Thank you, Eufy. I bought two things in the AI smart vein. I've mentioned one before, which is the Brilliant frames, and those are supposed to come sometime this month. Brilliant.xyz. I think this is actually a much smarter form factor than the Humane. These are regular glasses. They have my prescription in them. They have a OLED layer on the clear glass that can display. It's essentially a heads-up display. So you can look at something. It can display information about it. You can get translation.
I'm getting Google Glass PTSD as you talk.
Yeah, but you're looking. Unlike
the glasses
Google Glass,
are cute, Jeff. Look, they're cute little circles.
Like
I would look good
Dexter.
with that, wouldn't I?
Yeah, there's a little. Well,
I think you guys both would look good in them. If they're
now, I know you're teasing.
I mean, genuinely, I think they would look good. I think they're cute circle glasses.
There's the batteries in the earpiece. It has a little nose charger as well. You can plug into. I just think this is to me. So look, what I'm most interested in is not the $3,500 Vision Pro where you seal yourself off from the world in effect. I'm interested in bringing AI with me in small form factors that might pair up with my phone.
Is this frame as in the frame computer?
No. Oh, this is brilliant.
As in glasses.
It said frame there. Oh, it says frames as in glasses.
It's a frame. It's a glasses frame. That's the one I got is the H2O one. It's clear. So you can see the camera. You can see the motherboard. You can see the modules. I think it'll be kind of interesting. Anyway, if I show up for a show, $350, I think, something like that.
Was
it's
it
not expensive.
extra to add your prescription? I might get some. This sounds really cool.
It includes
actually.
your prescription. Well, wait and I'll get some. Okay. I was going to get the Meta Ray-Bans, but this is next level up because it's got projection on the screen. You can actually, it's a heads-up display.
Because that is what I've always been saying I would actually really want. If there's a way for me to look up something while I'm like doing my dishes, I'd love that.
And you could talk to it. It could talk to you. The other thing I got, and you might have seen this, and this is the people you saw in the bar. Remember the rewind.ai people?
No, that was .ai, new computer.
Oh,
I bought the Rewind and then realized it wouldn't work with an Android and stopped the order.
Well, they now have a pin that I don't think we're. Is that you're talking about the Limitless? Are you talking about the Limitless?
You wear that records everything, right?
Yeah. It doesn't work with Android? Mm-mm. Does it even need a phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to have the Rewind app on your phone. All right. So
do the frames work with the phone real fast before we move to this next one?
Good question.
That's a good question.
Yep.
These questions will be answered when I open the box.
I love that you do not know this.
Why should I look at that kind of thing?
I mean, you've got
$350 on it.
All of the phones. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, but it's cooler if it doesn't work with. Well, actually, I think it's cooler if it does work with the phone, but it doesn't in a way that's like over the air.
So the glasses less so because they work with OpenAI. Maybe they'd have to have a phone. I would bet you'd have to have a phone.
It says on the website that they have an Apple. They work for Apple and Android.
And Android.
They've got
now
apps.
Rewind.ai has renamed itself to Limitless. They have a software product, the AI assistant, but they are now selling this Limitless pin. It's a magnetic clip, so you can put it on a collar. There it is, or you can wear it around your neck as a pendant. It records everything all day, which I find very interesting, and then sends it off to an AI for transcription and synopsis, analysis, action items, that kind of thing.
Wait, is it only your voice? Do you activate
Well, this is interesting, right? The part of the issue is, you can't, in most states, you can't.
In California, you definitely.
I was like, is this two-party consent state?
It has voice recognition in it. And it knows your voice, so it records you. When it hears a new person, a light comes on, and you have to verbally say to the person, if you want to record them, hey, I would like to record this conversation. May I? If they give their consent, the AI adds their voice print to the list of people that can record, and it will then record that conversation. So
is the permission a code in the sense that you have to say those exact words?
No, I don't. No, I don't
start?
think so. Well, we'll see, but they say no. You just roughly say, "Hey, I'd like to record this. Is that okay?" And they say yes, and then
that feels real dodgy.
Well,
I feel like I could.
Yeah, we'll see how well this works, right?
Okay.
And truthfully, I can record anybody on my watch without asking them. So this is illegally, admittedly.
Yeah, I was going to say, not in the state of California.
But it crosses over certain state lines.
I'll be interested, Leo, in what the quality of the recordings are like. Let's say if you get someone's consent and you're in a meeting or at a coffee shop or walking in the street, because I often record conversations to people. It's a big part of my job. I, of course, ask for consent, but I have my little, I have a handheld recorder, actually, which I can find in here that looks very dorky, but it's state of the art, and it has a hard time picking up people in like crowded spaces, even when I point it in the right direction or have my, I've got a pickup microphone I can even put closer. So I'm curious how this will work if it's on your lapel, because I'd assume that the quality would be dampened.
We're going to find out because I ordered it. This comes in August. This isn't real soon.
How much is this one?
$99, but there is a subscription. But I don't think it's very expensive. I remember it wasn't awful. And you don't have to subscribe, but you're going to want to subscribe because it's going to use the AI to analyze what it's hearing. So yeah, this would be perfect for you, actually.
So
Paris.
it sends
$19 per month annual.
That's expensive.
Yes, it absolutely. So it stores it on your Mac or your PC or your phone. I mean, look, I don't know all the answers. They say 100-hour battery life, which is completely the opposite of the Humane pin.
Is it connecting to your phone via Bluetooth? Is it
Wi-Fi
storing it on the
Bluetooth
device
enabled.
and you connect?
Yeah, on device, but then it connects, I think, to a larger device, your Mac or your phone, your PC or your phone.
For the data transfer, is it?
It's encrypted.
Ongoing? No, is it sending the data via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi constantly to your device, or do you plug it in at night to get that? Because that battery life is insane for.
Yeah, it couldn't be constantly transmitting. It's probably recording and then you connect it and it downloads it. I don't know. We'll find out. It's $99 pre-order, no subscription required, but if you want to have all the features, $19 a month.
Ooh.
For unlimited
Paris,
audio
I tried
storage
on the
and
glasses.
unlimited
I'm doing that right now, Jeff.
just to see what you look like. Oh, that looks good. You know what, Jeff? That's
I think they look good.
That could be you. I wouldn't get black. I'd get a less harsh.
Well,
color.
I did the other color too, if you go up in the chat.
Oh.
Wow.
I think the black, so long as they're not tinted, would work with either of your guys.
Oh, that's interesting. I like
that's
the
very
darker
fun,
ones.
actually.
Well, yeah, there you look like a Nordic explorer.
Yeah.
Professor Amundsen, kind of. But either way, the point is not so much look at all the things I'm buying, but that I think we are on the cusp of some very interesting smaller AI, omnipresent AI devices that, like the movie Her, at some point in the next few years, I think we're going to have a big breakthrough. And you're going to really want to have an AI assistant on your person.
Don't you have it on your phone?
You do have it on your phone.
Yeah, but it sucks.
No, it doesn't.
Well, we're not talking Siri. We're like ChatGPT on your phone's pretty good.
Siri's fine. It's not great.
Here's the thing I realized with AI. AI by itself, the chat thing, where AI really shines, and I've said this many, many times, is where you put your data in it, and then you query the AI about your data, or you interact with the AI about your data. That's what this pin and these glasses do. They are recording your life and then sending that to the AI for analysis. And I think that could be very useful.
So that could be useful. I think the real value of AI is actually pulling information from the world around you and giving it to you when you need it in the format that's easiest to digest.
Yes.
I don't care about my life. I actually think it'll be interesting as a social experiment if your pin actually works to be like, how many relationships will be murdered by the fact that some guy's going to play that? Actually, you said
Mirror
this.
episode about this. Yeah.
Yes. I think it could be bad, actually.
Well, I think it like anything with great power comes great responsibility. I think you have to be careful how you apply this for sure.
I want to see your summaries because obviously no part of me wants to go back and relive my entire everything verbatim for my day. I just want hey, what's my to-do list? What did I promise people today?
Exactly.
That's what I need.
Bingo. Or
Leo, I hate to break this to you, but on the frame, it says that you get limited AI services for free. They will have a paid tier.
That's fine.
In the future.
I would expect that. This stuff is not cheap to run.
It's not coming with your prescription. You can have your local optician fit a prescription lens.
No, that's out of date. Whatever you're looking at.
I'm looking at their site.
Well, they said that what is your prescription? We're going to put so they're sending me lenses.
$350 is a good price.
I know it's cheap glasses.
It is cheap glasses.
If it's just glasses, I'm still ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's what sold me. I'm like, well, it could be fun.
Are you looking at brilliant.xyz, Jeff?
Yes. Product/frame. Can I have my local optician fit a prescription lens? Yes, the RX lens your optician fits needs to be flat on one side in order for it to be laminated to the flat surface of the frame.
You can have that. You can have that. But if you order it, they'll say, okay, what's your prescription?
I tried that and it's not asking me for a prescription.
Oh, maybe I just got lucky.
Yeah, maybe they figured that was too expensive.
That might be.
I mean, it definitely
I pre-ordered early, right? So maybe that's what's happened.
What it is, yeah.
Yeah, they decided they didn't want to get in that business, which
I had my optician put, of course, lenses on the damned Google Glass up there in the closet.
Oh, you were Google
because
Glass
you don't
head?
see the difference is you don't look like a Nordic explorer in Google Glass.
You look like
you look like an ass,
or
a glass hole. Yeah.
Or you look like Scoble.
I don't know. I think we're like a couple years away from the original Google Glass design making a big splash with Gen Z or whatever is after that.
It really, honestly, might be premature even for this. But maybe I'm overexcited, but I feel like we're so close.
What's the back end to frame? What do they call it? What AI are they calling on when you ask it questions?
Open AI, ChatGPT.
And versus the Meta glasses.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
No, they can't be. So ChatGPT is just.
No, I'm sorry. The Rewind is ChatGPT. I'm not sure what the Brilliant is. So
yeah,
all of these, I didn't ask these questions. I just bought it. I will ask them when I get it. The real problem is just like the Humane pin. Look, I could tell that was a non-starter without buying it. But sometimes you have to buy these things to try them to see what you got, right? See how it works. I'll give you all. It
has access to models like Perplexity, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Whisper.
Shouldn't have said anything. Mr.
Yeah, well, because some of the
there.
things they were showing were clearly not chat. I mean, they were not words. It was giving you imagery. It was giving you, or it was reacting to imagery.
I think the idea is you look at those raspberries and it tells you those are raspberries.
Great.
You dork. You idiot.
Hey. There are fruits that I look at in the grocery store that I don't know what the hell they are. So they're not raspberries, but you get the idea.
I've been thinking for a while about getting reflecticles, I think is what they're called. I put the link in the chat. Have you guys heard of? They're the privacy glasses that blur your face for facial recognition. I think it would be really fun to wear them in the airport. It'd probably get tackled.
You're going to get tackled. So I flew out here. And they took my picture. They said you don't have to, but I did it.
Oh yeah. No, I've been now photoed at 3 different airports in the last few weeks, and I would wear reflecticles. I've contemplated like makeup.
You'll have problems because what they're doing, the TSA is doing. They take your picture and then they compare it to your ID just to make sure that
they also make you take off your glasses to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess I'm less worried
and they say they
about
throw
the
it
TSA aspect of it. I mean, I don't know. Worried is the wrong word. Maybe they throw it out. Maybe they don't. I'm worried about walking down the street. There's all these NYPD cameras everywhere that I'm sure are connected to some God knows what database. Yeah. So I don't really need to have my face in.
Sorry, when I gave a keynote at the IAPP, the International Association of Privacy Professionals in Washington 2 weeks ago. And one of the other keynoters, because there's no single keynote, everybody's a keynoter now, was a woman who designed clothes that confuse it.
Oh, and yes, I have one of those.
I was there with Kashmir Hill. She was also keynoting. And I leaned over and I said, would you wear that? And she said, for the hoot, but not for the fashion.
Yeah, those are like camo. Those look
like they're hideous.
Was it adversarial fashion, Jeff?
Yes, I think so.
I think I've talked about this either on Twig or on Twit before, but they have these hoodies that I'll put the link in the chat that essentially confuse license plate readers by inserting junk data into them. So if you're like wearing it as you bike by or walk by, it will read all of the license plates on your jacket as being cars going by, but they don't connect to any car. So it makes it harder for the police to track people's movements.
This isn't what she was doing, but I see that adversarial fashion also has face masks. If you really want to look paranoid.
I don't think it's paranoid. I think, so here's the deal. Government surveillance, bad. Municipal cop surveillance, even worse. But I think there's also a legit and viable fear about being in the background of someone's TikTok video or somebody taking your picture because they think you're being a jerk. And then trying to identify you and do whatever. Like, basically, you're not going to be allowed to be anonymous in public at all. And that's a very scary. And in addition to not being an anonymous, you'll end up being searchable for the end of time. And
I think that when the robots come, they're going to keep track of who's not helping them.
And that's why Leo has turned into the biggest AI advocate.
Stacey, you missed Leo's transformation.
Leo has gotten radicalized. He's being really normal on this episode. I think, like, he's trying to play both sides.
When you deny your face to the AI, you're undermining the future.
What
Give it
is
all
even happening?
Your stuff.
He had a walk with someone. He won't tell us who.
An AI luminary. And since then, he's been saying things are going to get really weird in 5 to 10 years, and we got to be prepared.
That guy is on that new app, AirChat. Have you played with that yet?
Yeah.
That is the worst.
It's like Clubhouse, but more annoying.
It's worse. So this is a Twitter, but it's all voice.
Yes, where it's like you can only
I have
post
to hear
tweets,
Jason's voice,
and you can't scroll through the feed. It shows the tweets. In text, but you can't scroll without hearing everyone's voice, and everybody only replies and posts in paragraphs. So I opened up the app the first time, and immediately someone was speaking to me in paragraphs out loud. It was awful.
And am I wrong? But is it everybody sped up?
It sounds like it. I don't know for sure, but I thought the same thing also.
It might be that they're all talking really fast, but I think it's speeding it up.
A little bit, yeah.
It's horrible. The worst cacophony.
Never feel alone again.
Ever. You open this app, everybody's going crazy over it, right?
For 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's another one.
Should I open it? Do we want to see what it'll say?
Yeah, just play it, just so we can hear it. You won't believe this.
It's not going to show on my.
It's just a bunch
it has a really dumb logo too.
It's just you, Ben.
That's a reply to a GIF.
That's it. It's just you, Matt.
Here, we'll do the air chat.
People are going to listen to our conversations. Get on with it.
Put it closer to the mic.
Closer.
The whole point is that fishbowl effect, and if someone has something interesting to add, they can, and it breaks the conversation off, and you choose to reply or not. And
it's definitely being sped up.
Brian, what's the secret sauce of making sound here sound so much smoother than anywhere else?
Oh my God, it's like men talking to me.
Yeah.
It's just men talking at me.
Explaining.
Oh God, why won't it stop? It doesn't stop when you close out of the app. You have to pause it.
So awful.
Oh God, that's like my nightmare. That's not going to succeed at all. There's going to be like a class of people who are like all on it, and good for them, but I would never.
Okay,
never.
Good. Thank you. That was
that Jason, you think? Did that sound
that
like
was
Jason's
definitely
voice?
Jason. I heard his voice, yeah.
Like,
sped up, though. Doesn't that sound a little sped up?
Well, get the pain over with faster with him, yeah.
And he talks fast, so if it's fast, it's really fast.
Who thought that was a good idea?
VCs.
I got
people who needed more
over.
So it was just Calacanis? Is this his app?
No.
That was Calacanis who was talking.
Yeah, but everybody's all the usual suspects.
All the boys.
I know who's on it.
Yeah, you know who's on it. I'm on it, but I can't. It's funny because I talk for a living. I can't bring myself to put anything on there.
Oh.
It's like, no.
The way I tweet or post or skeet or what have you is fundamentally incompatible with me saying those words. If I had to say the words that I was typing, I'd never write anything.
Because the irony is assumed with you.
Yes.
You have to hear it yourself.
Oh, that's it. I get it. So if you said it, it might not sound ironic. might
would sound snotty and mean, which is not really the case. But if you tried to do that voice, right, Paris?
Yeah, it just also there. This is an incredibly dumb thing to say, but there's no way to type in lowercase when speaking.
Right.
And I don't like that.
That's a good point.
Posts need to be in lowercase because they need to have an inherent they need to inherently devalue themselves, in my opinion.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's profound.
You're somebody who's put more thought into tweeting than I have in my entire 20 years of tweeting or whatever. I never even.
Well, tweeting is like, I mean, that's my rough draft, or it used to be. I don't really tweet anymore.
Yeah.
But.
Well, now you can. What is it? Air chat? Is that the name?
Now you can air
No,
chat.
I would never air chat. I'm terrible. Like, I had to testify yesterday, and I realized, my God, if I can't write something out ahead of time, I would be a terrible litigator. I'm like, I can't do it.
Do you ever capitalize, Paris? Oh, I see you do. Yes. Okay, I have seen it.
I do sometimes.
When you say yes, you capitalize.
Yes.
Yeah, all caps.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
I'll capitalize company names occasionally if it's a tweet related to work, but I don't think that they should be. I don't know. I don't think that my silly little posts need to be capitalized.
Are you all lowercase?
I'm all lowercase.
Do you punctuate?
Yeah, sometimes.
How
it
old
depends.
Can I ask?
She's a child.
You don't have to answer.
Oh, how old am I? I didn't know what you said. I'm 27.
I was speaking in lowercase. How old are you? How old are you?
I never noticed that you tweet in lowercase.
Yeah, it's definitely a generational thing.
Yeah. Although.
Applies to New York.
Oh, yeah, but you don't use a lot of punctuation.
I don't.
No. Yeah.
Wow. I love that we're all analyzing my tweets now.
There was actually, I think it was like a week ago in the Wall Street Journal, there was actually an article about people around Paris's age that were like, I decided I had to be a grown-up and start using caps or like capitalization in my texts, I think it was, or emails or something.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I saw that push alert come across in the Wall Street Journal, and I was like, oh man, if the Journal's getting on to lowercase, I don't know what to do now.
It's over. No,
Yeah,
I've got a 17-year-old, and they definitely...
They're 17 now?
They're going to college.
Wow.
Like
Decision
in August.
made?
Decision has been made. No? Yeah.
Whoa.
Congratulations.
How far away from home? How close to home?
They're going to Bryn Mawr in Philadelphia. Almost 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, get your airfare ready.
Very fancy. You got to get her a cashmere sweater. Got them a cashmere sweater and a circle pin. I think that's what you want.
Oh, I was like, a humane pin? They'd go for that.
That'd be
the adversarial sweater. Yes. I think they'd go for that.
Yeah, my kids mocked me for years for using punctuation. Oh, he's so cute. He uses punctuation in his text messages to us and capitalization. I think they grew out of it, actually. They now write like normal people.
Or they do to you.
Maybe I taught them something. How about that? Let's take a little break, and then I do want to talk about your senator, Stacey Maria Cantwell, and her privacy legislation. Apparently, this is kind of a change of pace for Maria Cantwell, senator from Washington. That's what they're saying. I know you're looking at me funny, but that's what they're saying. We'll talk about it in just a second. Great to have Stacey Higginbotham back behind the microphone. To get your hopes up, she's not going to be here more than this time. Although
I won't be invited back.
You can. Well, we'll
She's
invite you
never
as
coming
much as
back.
you want. But I know that you got bigger fish to fry as policy person at the Consumer Reports thing.
Policy fellow, Leo.
Fella.
A fellow.
Well, I didn't want to be gendered. I wanted to be, policy. Policy person.
It's what it is.
She's a jolly good fellow, I'm sure.
A jolly good fellow.
Anyway, it's great to have you, Paris Martineau, also, and Jeff Jarvis. And in spirit, Craig Newmark, the Pigeon Man, also here. So it's nice to have all of you in studio. Our show today brought to you by Delete Me. Delete Me. This is really important stuff, not just for privacy, but for security. Have you ever searched for your name online? It's terrifying. In fact, I don't recommend it. You will not like how much of your personal information is there for all to see. I am talking name, address, birth date, salary information, home value information, all sorts of stuff. Now, it's also a security issue, and we learned this the hard way. We got Lisa, our CEO, we got her on Delete Me immediately after a bad guy sent out text messages to all her direct reports saying, hey, I'm stuck in a meeting. Can you buy these Amazon gift cards and send them out because I can't do it and I need to get these out right now? The reason that was terrifying is, A, they knew her phone number, they knew her direct reports, they knew their numbers, but they also knew that she buys Amazon gift cards for our employees and staff and friends. It was a very scary spear phishing attack. And a lot of that information came just directly from data brokers out there on the internet. We signed up for Delete Me, and it's so much better. If you have a business, all your management should absolutely be using Delete Me. If you have a family, you might want to look at Delete Me's family plans so that everybody in the family feels safe online. Delete Me reduces risk from identity theft, cybersecurity threat, harassment, and more. Now, here's how it starts. You sign up. You can manage your entire family's account. You give them some basic information. Then Delete Me's experts go to work to find and remove your information. They go to hundreds of data brokers. If you're doing the family thing, you can assign a unique data sheet to each family member tailored to them with completely easy-to-use controls so the account owner can manage privacy settings for the whole family. Now, here's the most important part. They don't just do it once because data brokers, they all have forms that say, take down my information. What they don't say is they repopulate it almost immediately as more information comes in. That's why Delete Me continues to scan and remove your information regularly. It's all out there. Addresses, photos, emails, relatives, phone numbers, social media, property value. It's all out there. And not only that, there's new data brokers every day. Protect yourself. Reclaim your privacy. Do what we did. Go to joindeleteme.com/twit. Use the code TWIT for 20% off. Joindeleteme.com/twit. The offer code TWIT gets you 20% off. I think Lisa did this more than a year ago, and it's noticeable, the difference. It's really great. joindeleteme.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support. Of the Google show, Maria Cantwell is one of two sponsors of a new privacy law that has been proposed, a bipartisan agreement that has been proposed in the Senate. She's the Commerce Committee chair, so she's really in a position to regulate the tech industry. I have often thought that Senate and Congress in general would never pass such a thing because there are people in law enforcement and the intelligence community who will go to their favorite pet member of Congress and say, hey, please don't vote for that. We need those data brokers. We need that data. We buy it. We know they do. They've admitted to it. Washington Post said kind of an interesting thing. Cantwell is a .com millionaire, former House member. According to the Washington Post, she has been a roadblock to industry abuses for years. Of dozens of bills, the Washington Post writes, introduced to address privacy, content moderation, even artificial intelligence, few have advanced out of the Commerce Committee. One House aide said, that's where a lot of the tech legislation goes to die. It's a graveyard over there. The Post says, and this is an article from Cristiano Lima Strong, that Cantwell is the primary reason for the impasse, according to more than a dozen current and former congressional aides in both parties and others familiar with the committee's dynamics, all of whom refused to, spoke on the condition of anonymity. Some say they feared retaliation. Cantwell has repeatedly upended privacy negotiations. In 2019, she broke up a working group trying to hash out a compromise. In 2022, she rebuffed a landmark agreement from three key lawmakers, a first of its kind bipartisan bill. Now, you might say, well, if she's so anti-privacy, why is she sponsoring this bill?
Pro-privacy.
Right.
Which is she? That's what I couldn't figure out the story because she keeps on being in the beginnings of bills and then she drops them as it goes.
Yeah.
She drops them. So she dropped the 2022 one. I believe it was because, now I don't remember what it was for. It would preempt state laws. And she felt that Washington, there were some state laws that were good. But this APRA actually preempts state laws.
Yeah,
as well.
interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Here's what you can correct me if I'm wrong, Stacey, because you have much more real world experience.
I've read the legislation.
Yeah. My sense of it is law enforcement, which really doesn't want data brokers to go out of business. This is a very valuable tool for them. But they recognize the land swell of opposition to data brokers. You just heard the last ad I did. And so they realize something has to be done. What they don't want is a bunch of states like Illinois and California, which already have extremely strong privacy protections, to pass these laws. They don't want a patchwork of 50 laws, most of which would be more strict than a federal law. The California Privacy Act is very good. So I suspect what they did is that they're taking what they can. They're going to make a federal law that will preempt all of these laws. Admittedly, who wants a patchwork regulatory environment? You don't know what to do. It'd be better to have a federal law, but I think it's going to preempt the stronger laws and give data brokers and maybe even more importantly, Meta and Google a way out.
So this law is odd. And I'm being so diplomatic here. This law is confusing AF. And it offers some really strong provisions for people. Like it has a private right of action, which means like you or I could sue as opposed to our attorney generals suing on our behalf, right? So we could go and take action on our own behalfs if we wanted to. It has a data minimization standard. But it also has the most confusing and sometimes contradictory language about like what data is covered, how is it sensitive, can you transfer data around? And in a lot of cases, it doesn't actually advantage the big social media companies. Exactly. It doesn't necessarily help them. I think it actually will make their lives a little bit harder because of some of the confusing language. I think it does definitely make it it does not protect us to the extent that we will need to get out of like data brokerage. Like it totally preserves their ability to collect lots of data, because for an individual to decide to like, oh, I don't want this site sharing my data. Some data, I can automatically opt out of, but some data, if it's sensitive, I have to actually, or if it's not deemed sensitive, I will have to go to a site to opt out of it. Actively, it won't be like, what's it called? I won't be able to universally opt out of things, but some of it I will be able to, like, I'll have to proactively tell them not to share this information. And it's really unclear who's going to be covered by what rules. So this law feels like a mess. The official CR position is we haven't made a decision yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because it is very confusing. Stacey, I have read this legislation and compared it to other privacy, like the 2022. I can't remember what its acronym was. ADPA? No, ADDPA. That was so much better.
Stacey, do they have the full bill out? I thought that it wasn't seen.
This is a draft bill. So the draft bill, okay. Yes, everyone's seen it. It's available.
For a while there were a lot of speculation still and summaries from people who had seen it, but it wasn't out yet. So, when I last read it,
it's totally out yet. Yes, it's totally. I was like, no, it's totally out. So,
Stacey, since you've gone to Consumer Reports, have you learned anything about kind of how these bills come together? Like the strange kind of amalgamation and structure and vagueness you described. Like, how do you think that got that way? Do you think it is like lobbying, or is it just because this goes through so many drafts, or something else?
So I think when you see confusing bills, like this one, I'm not talking specifically about this particular bill because I have no idea how this got here.
Yeah.
I think what you have is a lot of people saying, oh, these words, we need to use these specific words because they mean this to us. But then you get another group of people coming in saying, no, these are the words we need to use. And then and this is a draft, right? So in this case, it's a draft. So presumably someone will go through and make it better. Okay, everyone may know this, but there are people who are like, literally, that's all they do. They write legislation. I didn't know that. They're drafters. But
so what do you think Cantwell's end game is?
I think the end game is to create some sort of federal privacy legislation. So we have one standard. I don't know what Cantwell's personal drive is there. I mean, she's Washington State Senator, right? So we've got Microsoft is Amazon.
Well,
we've got those.
If you look at her donors, of course, according to the Post, Amazon Web Services CEO Adam Selipsky, President of Microsoft Brad Smith, T-Mobile CEO Mike Sievert, and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, all donors.
So what's interesting here, and this is, I'll just throw this out here because y'all are going to love this. This bill, there is a theory, and it actually is pretty credible based on the reading, that this would actually preempt the FCC's ability to regulate privacy for ISPs.
There you go.
It also might preempt the FCC's ability to do net neutrality. So
that's the smoking gun I was looking for.
Well,
there's some reason why they're willing to give in on this at this point.
Yep.
So I'll drop it in the show notes because this is a nice little, I don't know where to put it. I'm going to just drop it in line 87 because that's where I am on my thing.
Perfect. That's great.
On line 87,
it all comes back to you, doesn't it, Stacey? The whole way this show works. People say a line number, and then I go, okay, fine. It's not a democracy. You understand. You remember all of this.
I'm like, it's a Staceyocracy. So if you scroll down, this is just a bunch of expert perspectives and the public knowledge. So if you look at Sarah Collins, Director of Governmental Affairs of Public Knowledge, and Public Knowledge has fought for net neutrality for decades. Basically, they're saying that this is going to preempt and there is wording in the law about common carriers being covered entities under this law, which would be the law would apply to them. Anyway, so there's a lot here. I personally don't love it. Maybe it'll get better, but I really don't know if this is going to pass given like where we are in like the world of politics, right? We've got to get this all the way through committees. It's a presidential election year. Everybody's like, I mean, I don't see how this is going to pass.
The article is from techpolicy.press. Experts provide early analysis of the American Privacy Rights Act. That's the name of this APRA. And just like we said, there's some confusion about what happened that Maria Cantwell has kind of changed her position. Her co-sponsor on this is in the House of Representatives is also from Washington, Republican Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers. The Tech Policy notes the collaboration between the two lawmakers is notable in part because Senator Cantwell was one forceful opponent of a previous attempt at comprehensive privacy legislation that Representative McMorris Rogers championed. And that was the one you talked about, ADPPA, ADPPA, the American Data Privacy Protection Act, which McMorris Rogers steered through the House Energy and Commerce Committee she chairs, advancing out of the committee with a 53-2 vote. But the bill stalled as California Democrats raised concerns that it would weaken California's law. Cantwell opposed it.
She was just in the Wall Street Journal for the TikTok law.
Is she one of the sponsors of that?
Yes.
Interesting.
So this could be a legislative and press campaign designed to get her to the forefront for like Washington State. She's not running for governor of our state. obviously, because we're in the midst. Our governor has currently said he's stepping down, so we've got 2 candidates running. But it could be that she's thinking of like 2028 and starting to like push her name out there. That's not crazy.
As the confused legislator who wants things and then doesn't want them. It's not a good look from the story, in a way.
No, it's a tough story on her. And I actually have to say this tech policy piece is also fairly hard on her. But yeah, it's just maybe I'm conspiracy theory minded, but you just really wonder when somebody who has been so she was chief of marketing at Real Networks. Maria Cantwell was at Real Networks when they had a major privacy issue. They were really snooping on everything everybody was doing. Shows her she's got roots in the privacy invasion community. If that's not too
well, I mean, anybody who worked at a tech company has roots in the privacy invasion. You probably could say that about me too. Surveillance,
right?
Real Network had a lot of other problems too, but.
Sarah Collins from Public Knowledge, as you point out, says that this removes the FCC's authority over communications services. That's a big deal. But there are a lot of other negatives about this. And yet at the same time, I think most Americans think we do need comprehensive data privacy regulations, that the data brokers are out of control.
We absolutely do. And this could give, I mean, if something like this passes, it's because we needed some sort of greenwashing, privacy washing that makes Americans feel like we have something for our privacy. And there are things like would make it very clear that we're opting out. Like, so we would get options to opt out of things and we might feel more powerful, but it doesn't preclude the trading in our information to data brokers or trading in some of our information to data brokers. So it could be something where it looks awesome as an everyday consumer surfing the web, and then it doesn't actually solve the real problems that are happening with data gathering and assimilation and then reselling. And that might be what they're after.
Alan Butler and Catriona Fitzgerald from the Electronic Privacy Information Center say that this is problematic for a number of reasons. Data minimization rules can't be enforced through the private right of action. There are a lot of little loopholes in this law. California Privacy Protection Agency's work could be significantly disrupted. The new FTC Privacy Bureau would need substantial funding and stronger enforcement tools. They say there's a lot to analyze. We look forward to working with Congress to ensure strong, comprehensive privacy protections.
A moral entrepreneur with a difficult past. Let's just put it
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, there are a lot of other people here. CDT, the Center for Democracy and Technology, Future of Privacy Forum, Open Technology Institute, Demand Progress, Public Knowledge, as you mentioned. Check My Ads. This is a good piece. So
yeah, my boss did a full piece on it too. So if you want, I'll give you the.
So Consumer Reports has not yet said how they feel about this law. Is that because it's so complicated? It did just come out a couple of days ago, so I understand.
So we did. Here, line 87. This is my boss, and this is what he has said about it. And he's a privacy dude. Sorry, it's line 88. My bad. And he worked at the FTC on privacy. He does all of our privacy advocacy. So he's a privacy dude. And that's his take. And the reason, none of these are official takes yet, because every organization that is looking at this is like, oh, you don't want to, I mean, this is something that's really hard actually for me coming from the journalism background. You can't go in and be like, this sucks, and this sucks.
It's politics.
You have to go in and say,
what could we do?
What a lovely home you have here. It's so beautiful how you've done this. And I would love to talk about this thing that you've proposed. I just feel like, could we come to terms on this?
It's hard. It's really hard.
You have to take a shower afterwards, I know.
Jason Brookman is your boss, the Director of Technology Policy for Consumer Reports. Sorry, Justin writes, the headline is Unclear Protections in the American Privacy Rights Act, Not Worth Broad Preemption.
I might surprise you, Stacey, but I actually am in favor of federal privacy regulations, so we don't end up with a patchwork of 50.
That's fine, as long as it's strong. If it's going to preempt the California Privacy Act, it has to be at least as good.
But you know, if you listen to somebody like Masnick, the politics are we've been mushing around with this forever.
It's better something than nothing.
Yes, get started. It's policy.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is probably not the appropriate vehicle. Also, you guys would love this because there's AI. They also tackle some algorithmic discrimination in here just for funsies.
Well, they have a kind of ridiculous clause that you can opt out of all AI. No spell check for me.
It's opt out of something called consequential decision making. So that's when AI is doing things. Well, but people listen to you. Look, here I am not being any fun again. Look, I remember this dynamic.
No fun. Stacy's back, everybody.
No fun.
Party pooper Stacy.
It's
policy pooper Stacy.
Things. So like your resume, do you get housing? Like those are things we actually, those aren't just silly AI things. Those
that shouldn't be, to my mind, that shouldn't be about each individual user having to opt out of it. That should be regulated at the top level, is that you shouldn't use consequential AI for anybody unless, you can give certain guarantees. I think that's the wrong end of it, is what I'm saying.
I don't think we'll ever get there because I think by virtue, unless we drop our population by a lot, which we might, who knows, climate change.
AI.
There's always time for a mass extinction event.
Exactly. But I mean, we are going to use AI for consequential decision making because it's scalable. It's cheaper.
It's good at that too. Efficient. In some cases, it's not bad.
In some cases, it can. And that's why we have to figure out what the right
standards
mitigations are.
Right.
Yeah.
For when it's used, how, if you know, if you know you're on the terrorist
right of appeal.
List, yeah. How do you get off? And how do you get off quickly and efficiently, not through knowing a congressperson?
All right, Stacy, thank you. I'm glad you were on, actually. This is a very important topic and one we will be, I'm sure, covering more. And yeah, I guess I agree with Mike, Jeff, and you that something's better than nothing, except that I live in a state where we have pretty good privacy protections.
Well, you're soon going to have no news. So,
well, let's talk about that. That's a good one, isn't it? So Jeff read us a little bit from his, really, I thought I read the white paper you wrote. Very good.
You read all 40 pages?
Yeah, it was good.
Wow.
You write well. You're a good writer.
Oh,
so it flew by.
There's a lot of fun history in it. There really is.
We're talking about a link tax that's proposed in California to save journalism. Who could be against that, right? Well, Jeff, you point out what a bad idea it is. You want to summarize?
So this is legislation that is a cousin to federal legislation, the JCPA. This is the CJPA from the same lobbyist, the NMA. You tired of all that now? Which is the Association for Newspapers and Now Magazines. And in the California version says that Google and Meta can be forced to negotiate, air quotes, negotiate, with publishers to pay for news as a usage fee based on how many links they give to those publishers. Huge numbers of weaknesses. Number one is that it doesn't just support California news. The vast majority of the money goes to national and even international news. There's no standards, so it can go to extremist news. There's a $100,000 revenue floor, so all kinds of Black and Latino and new media are left out. It only rewards links, so Black and Latino newspapers and good old newspaper aren't valued at all. It violates fair use. It violates and copyright. It violates the First Amendment because it has a must carry clause. And it provides a perverse incentive for more clickbait because you want to get more and more and more links. It's just terrible legislation that ends up supporting national media companies and hedge funds.
Here's what
I wrote.
Here, I'll read what Google wrote in its keyword blog. Because we talked about your piece last week. This week, Google kind of laid down the law. They said, by helping people find news stories, we help publishers of all sizes grow their audience at no cost to them. CJPA would end up that model. It would favor media conglomerates and hedge funds who've been lobbying for this bill and could use funds from the California Journalism Preservation Act to continue to buy up local California newspapers, strip them of journalists, and create more ghost papers that operate with a skeleton crew to produce only low-cost and often low-quality content, that link bait you were talking about. Yep. CJPA would also put small publishers at a disadvantage and limit consumers' access to a diverse local media ecosystem.
So what Google did that caused, I was at the ISOJ journalism conference in Austin, and this bomb fell while we were there. What Google says in that post is that as they did in Canada, they tested with a small number of users, taking news links off.
The nuclear option. The nuclear
option.
option.
It's a way to shoot across the bow of the California Senate.
How would you?
But
like
they also
it
said
if we didn't link to you at all, huh?
Right?
How'd you like that?
What if we took your news and went home?
Yeah,
shame if something should happen.
Shame was happened to your nice journalism thing. So they also said that they would freeze any new efforts in the Google News Initiative and their showcase and so on. And so that means no more money. So there was tons of panic. This was national. No, it's just California right now. But in Canada, Facebook threatened it and did it. And I go through that in the paper where the money that Google is going to pay in Canada is just above de minimis, but people lost traffic. They can't start new things. They're really hurting because of the Meta move. In California, Meta has already said, we'll do the same thing in California. We are out of news entirely. I think we're out now. We're really out.
They say that only 2% of queries on Google search are news related. Meta says something similar, that, it's not important to us. We're happy to be out of that business.
And it's not, and it gets them in trouble. So I think that some said this was a Bigfoot move by Google that could backfire. But I think at some point Google had to say, no, we're serious. There's no cap on this. You're not really worth that much to us. No. And the thing is, like the editor of the San Francisco Chronicle spoke at this event, and he made a point, he was a wonderful guy, and he made a point of saying, Google's been pretty good to us. They've done good things for us. They've been a good citizen around news. So this was bubbling like crazy, because if the CJPA passes in any stupid form, now at the end of my paper, I list a score of alternatives that would be smarter. And I think there is a discussion to be had, but this horrible lobbyist legislation should be killed. I think I might have had a part in helping to kill it in Illinois. It's not fully dead yet, but it seems to be a problem there. It's not doing well in federal land. In California, it's getting close, and now people are screaming. The head of the Northern California Jewish publication wrote a letter to the Jewish lobby or caucus and said, "You're going to hurt us like crazy. This is going to be terrible for us. Look at what happened in Canada," and it could be really bad, Leo.
Do you have a sense of what the political climate is as far as like legislatures go around this? Like, does it seem like something that there's momentum to pass?
It passed easily in the assembly, and then people screamed about, "No, this is stupid legislation." So the Senate, Senator Glazer, who's in charge of the necessary committee, kind of pulled back and paused everything. But there is generally a view that you don't lose votes by slamming the big platforms. And even in the state that is the headquarters of those companies, with tons of employees from those companies and lots of political money from the companies and the employees, it's amazing. It's political fair game to go after Google and Meta in California.
It is interesting because the script has flipped in Seattle and in Washington, where it used to be kind of political suicide to go against Amazon or Microsoft because they're the two biggest employers. But now, the city council in Seattle has completely flipped against Amazon and passed a lot of local ordinances that kind of curb Amazon's influence and specifically tax their employees at a higher rate. So it's interesting that California hasn't had the same kind of fervor.
This will resonate with you, Stacey, I imagine, since you're actually working in policy now, and I'm not. I'm a bull in a china shop. I talked to a staffer for somebody in the Senate, in the U.S. Senate, and they know how dumb these pieces of legislation are. But they said, the way what alternatives can you give us? Can you give us any exit paths here to something that's not as damaging, that's a little bit more sensible? And so I really took that to heart and tried to propose a bunch of alternatives. Now, one thing that might happen in California is if Google agrees to do something that looks good And Buffy Wicks, who wrote who proposed this bill, can say, I brought them to the table. I made them pay attention. I'm the heroine. That might win the day without legislation. But each side wants to have some flesh from the other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we actually build model legislation for everything we care about, or for many issues that we care about, just so we can come to the table when we see someone proposing something silly. We're like, oh, perhaps you haven't considered this. Let me show you our legislation. And then, and I don't think my boss or even the CEO of CR Consumer Reports is ego driven to the point where we're like, I'm happy to give someone else credit if it gets the rules that I want to see passed. I don't care. So, and I think, that's really important though to politicians, because optics, that's the word. I was like, they use a word for it. It's optics. So
do you actually write full legislation or a précis of what it includes?
Because I am not a lawyer, I write. That's why we like you, Stacey. I was like, things I think are important, words that people use to describe the things that I think are important, potential loopholes associated with those words. And then I give them to people who are drafters, like people who write actual legislation, and they will, or in sometimes with like state legislatures that are smaller, you actually just go to the legislator and you give them your ideas or thoughts. And if you can point to other states' examples, they love that. And then they bring it to the people who work in their own houses and write it. So, if I were Microsoft, I'm sure I'd have a person who actually could write legislation and they would just do it for me. But we don't. So
here's a question for you. What I've said, and I said this at the journalism conference, as a journalist, I am offended that journalism companies are hiring lobbyists to seek favors from those whom we should hold to account, both in government and in technology, by the way.
I think that's kind of naive. I'm with you 100% as a person who is a journalist at heart, right? Like I'm still a bull in a china shop, right? But I do think that to get anything done the way you want, you have to have a lobbyist. And does it suck? 100%. But that's just where we are as a democracy.
What do you think, Paris? Since you're more of the purest journalist among us now than.
No, I think what Stacey just said is very true. I agree with you, Jeff. I think it feels morally quite squicky.
Squicky.
I love it.
Squicky?
It's a great word.
Yeah.
Is that a real word?
That is a real word, and it's been used on this podcast multiple times before.
I have used the word squicky in the past.
Squicky,
yes.
I love that.
I don't know. It feels quite squicky. It feels quite unpleasant to think about participating in the game. But I also think that the rules of the society and structures we live in make that a necessity if you want to get things done. I'm not sure that makes it good or okay or the right thing to do, but it is what a lot of people and organizations do, nonetheless.
And if you're smart, you can have your paper lobby for things, your executive people at the paper lobby for things, and your day-to-day journalists may disagree with it.
They generally do. You're right.
Well, yeah, you got to have a separation of church and state.
Here's the other thing, though. So I read a bunch of stories about CJPA and from organizations that would benefit greatly that do not disclose that. That's way wrong. That this has an impact. In Canada, Michael Geist, who was a brilliant lawyer up there who was covering all the stuff up there, he said the Toronto Star was going all, tech is horrible, tech is awful, until the day Google said, we'll give you something. Then, whoop, okay, stop that series, took that off, stop doing that. The Wall Street Journal, I think, is awful in this way. And California Legacy News has been propagandizing for this. And I think it's awful. And the journalists aren't pushing back, at least even about transparency.
Well,
the LA Times said were a member of the NMA, but they didn't say they would benefit.
Well, I mean, frankly, the people who are probably writing those stories are, I mean, in many of these cases, probably writing multiple stories a day, do not have a understanding of the inner workings of the business in which they work to where they'd be able to disclose it. I agree that I think there should be more transparency. If you're an organization, if you're a news organization lobbying for anything, you should disclose that to your teams that you can make appropriate disclosures in your stories. But I'm not sure
the LA
that it's
Times Guild
on any.
opposed this until they got a change in the law that benefited them, and then they were for it.
Oh,
well, I mean, the LA Times Guild has a lot of problems to deal with. I think they're just trying to keep as many of their guild members with jobs as possible. Yeah,
I was going to say, I don't think it's asking like a journalist to hold people in power accountable in their internal like companies is kind of like asking an abuse victim to leave their spouse. You know, like it may happen, but where are they going to go? Do they have fun? I mean, it's being a journalist.
At least have standards in the coverage. At least have a standard caveat here saying this affects us.
Or you could hire the solicitors at the London firm Vardags, headed by Isha Vardag, the self-styled diva of divorce, who accidentally got a couple divorced.
Oh, yes.
What?
I put this in the rundown.
What?
A couple got accidentally divorced due to a computer error made by a legal team. They were trying to submit a divorce for one couple and accidentally submit it for another. And the judge was like, sorry, them's the breaks.
It was approved. And the judge says, yeah, it's done now. They're divorced.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's not what you want.
The online system operated with its now customary speed and granted the orders divorcing the Williamses within 21 minutes. The solicitors realized their mistake 2 days later, the Guardian writes, and applied to the High Court to rescind the final divorce order. They described the error as somebody at Vardag's clicking the wrong button. But the judge said, no, there's a strong public policy interest in respecting the certainty and finality that flows from a final divorce order. Too bad.
I ended up on Medicaid Part B because finally got to the answer to this. I'm still employed. I'm not supposed to be on it. I'm not supposed to do that. And I said, do you do this to people? No, we don't do that to people. Finally, the fifth guy I got to said, oh, somebody wrote down a social security number. It's close to yours and looked like yours, but it's not yours. They requested Part B. You didn't. They didn't get it. You did.
Oh, no.
Even so, then I had to go back and they were billing me for this. And, oh, no, penalties coming up. Finally, I did what you said you wouldn't do before. I went to Senator Cory Booker's office, and they're very nice people there, said, we'll write off for you. And then finally, I got my right card. Yeah, and that's not AI. That's not computers. That's an idiot.
That's lobbying.
It's too easy.
That's not lobbying. It's just, it's the fact that we don't put things in place to fix mistakes.
Right.
And it's hard to fix mistakes. And if it were easy, people would scam it. I mean, that's the cold, hard truth.
Yes.
So.
All right. I'm sorry. I changed the subject, but I think it was appropriate.
That was a lot of news. We were all sad about journalism.
Yeah. I don't want to get back into it, so I won't ask any questions, but we'll follow that with interest. I have a feeling Google has a giant hammer that might be just enough to get the job.
I think the threat was all that Google did.
Yeah.
Google said we're serious. Because the funny thing is, the dynamic here is that in Australia, Google... sorry, you were trying to leave it.
We're back on it.
I'm sorry. I laughed, Jeff. Continue.
No,
Nothing I can do. It's not a democracy.
No,
what am I saying?
It is not.
It's a Jeffocracy.
No, it's a Leocracy.
A Jarvocracy.
Leocracy.
What else do you want to talk about? There's so many stories in here.
Because I thought Jeff wasn't going to be here today, so I went and
put him in
there.
You went to town.
Bravo.
Almost all of these are Paris's.
Yeah. I looked
you.
yesterday and I was like, oh, if Jeff's not here, I'm not going to put stories in. That never happened.
I mean, that's the thing. I was like, Jeff's not going to be here. I've got to put stories in. I don't know who's going to be on the show with me.
Pick a story then.
Can we have some Schadenfreude, some
There's some great stories in here. Neopets nostalgic revival.
I put that in there for Paris.
Tripled users in 6 months. Neopets is back, baby.
Good for them. Oh, wow.
It looks
Maybe
exactly
I
the
should play
same.
Neopets.
Yeah, bring it back.
That's great.
You
That
and my
Club
daughter
Penguin?
both grew up on Neopets.
Oh my God, Club Penguin.
Club Penguin.
Club Penguin still
exist? That was the Disney attempt to get all of your information. I mean, to advertise to teenagers. I mean, to make a lovely life for you.
I'll throw out the Amazon killing the Madame A skills.
Yeah, that's
mostly because I saw the headline and I guffawed because the headline from Ars Technica is Amazon virtually kills efforts to develop Alexa skills, disappointing dozens. Which was great. And ties into my own thesis of like, hey, we went all in on this smart home IoT stuff and it was pretty sucky for the end user and didn't deliver. So let's claw that back. And that's all. That's all I want to say.
Well, we know they're losing, what is it, $1 billion a year on Amazon Echo?
They thought so, yeah.
Yeah. On June 30th, Amazon will stop giving out the monthly Amazon Web Services credits that have made it free for third-party developers to build and host A-word skills. You know, gosh, I've been planning to write that Alexa skill for the longest time, and now it's not free anymore.
Did you guys ever use any of these skills? I'm trying not to say the name of the assistant to set up.
I did.
I've only ever used one, which was if you tell it Echo, make cat noises, it'll make cat noise. It makes like cat meows and they're varied and it'll keep going. And my cat goes crazy for them. I haven't done it in a while. Maybe I'll do
Good
that
crazy,
tonight.
bad crazy.
Good crazy. She really loves it. She gets really close up to the Echo.
My wife, who is a cat lover, found there is I don't know if it's a skill, there's a feature that you can have the Echo meow instead of saying anything else when you give it a command. So now when we say Echo, set spaghetti timer for 12 minutes, it goes meow. And yeah.
I wish I could do that for Google. Because Google will repeat verbatim my command back to me in a much slower tone of voice or speed of voice.
Do you mean you want to set a spaghetti timer? Yes!
Excruciating.
And then the other one I don't like is, did you know I can also do your laundry for you and order? I mean, it's just.
Did you know you can tip your Amazon driver by saying blah, blah, blah? Or you can order stuff through our app. I'm like, shut up.
Shut up. Shut up. So anyway, the Echo Developer Rewards program is ending, which means now just one more nail in the coffin, third-party skills. I've done the Jeopardy skill. I've done a variety of skills. I like the skills.
Well,
They're
I
fun.
think some skills that add, like for a while you had to have a skill to integrate with the platform if like you were a smart home company.
Right.
Like, so to make your lights work.
Right.
Some of those skills still exist and are mandatory for using things together. And so it might be that like GE would pay to keep my oven preheating through Madame A, just as a benefit for people who bought their ovens.
Amazon says fewer than 1% of developers are using the skills incentive programs. There are 160,000 skills on Amazon Echo.
Well, and most of them were built back in like 2017 when they launched the program.
Yeah.
Stacey, here's a question for you since you were in the stuff. And we really haven't been together since ChatGPT and stuff. Do you think that the failure of Madame A and skills and the whole question spoken interface bodes ill for ChatGPT and company?
No, I think the way that you had to access skills required a lot of cognitive overhead in a way that ChatGPT and like or any sort of generative AI that's worth its salt will solve. So I actually think it will be better. So yeah, I think that's going to be helpful. Voice interaction is not going away. And I think ChatGPT or generative AI that uses large language models will only make that better. So.
And chattier. That's the problem.
It doesn't have, I think right now, it's chatty, but it will get better.
Yeah. And with the proper prompt, you can keep it a little more concise. So just to be clear, Amazon is not killing skills. They're just killing the incentive programs they were paying to third-party developers to make skills.
Oh, I see.
Skills are not gone.
Yes.
And the truth is, apparently, nobody really made much money on skills anyway.
Because nobody used them.
Including Amazon.
Right. Well, Amazon lost a lot of money because by 2018, this Ars Technica article says, Amazon had paid developers millions to make custom Alexa skills. But, those developers found it very hard to make money off skills, with a rare few pointing to making thousands of dollars at most. The number one skill is the Jeopardy skill, which is expensive. I think it's $5 a month. Then, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Apparently, lots of people want to know. Who wants to be a millionaire? Everybody. And Calm, the meditation act. Those are the most popular skills right now. Skills will continue. Developers will continue to be able to make money. There just won't be those incentives to develop a skill. That makes sense. And they thought
it was going to be the App Store. And it is not the App Store. Yeah. It is basically like developing for another platform that may or may not be necessary.
Well, same with the GPT store.
I was just going to say that. Now partly that's because OpenAI has not yet established a store per se, but apparently, I've have skills up on the GPT store, but I don't know if anybody's even downloaded them. You don't know, and they haven't set up a way to get paid for it yet either. What is Panic as a business?
I assume that's a Jeff.
Oh, yeah, that is. That was, Panic. I was going to try to put together a whole Panic section just for Stacey's benefit.
AI Panic?
In her honor today. What line is that, Leo?
Oh, line? What? I don't know from lines. What? Lines, schmines. It's line, I don't know. 106.
106.
Right under Tescriel.
All the way down there. So,
hey, Tescriel, drink.
I did that just for you.
This is Neeraj Weisblatt, our friend.
Oh, I love Neeraj, yes.
Has been doing more work on the amount of money that's going into all this stuff and who's involved in Tescriel. Above that, the line above that is the paper that we've been long awaiting from Emil Torres as well as Timnit Gebru on Tescriel. I'm halfway through reading it right now. So an effort to keep talking about this stuff.
And they're linking it to eugenics.
Yes, directly in the lead, they're saying straight out that this is a child of eugenics, which I think is really important to say because that's not pussyfooting around the topic at all.
Is it accurate?
Yes. I've talked to Emil Torres about this, and he's convincing. And there's a historical. Why does Elon Musk want to put chips in heads, have only certain people have lots of babies, and populate the universe? Because he thinks that he can make the Ubermensch of the future. That's a lot of them.
It's a through line. So I don't think all of them think it through, but if you look at the core beliefs, ultimately these people feel like they're smarter and better than other people. And they also feel a sense of looming threat of maybe that mass extinction event. And then, so the solutions that come up to them are automatically they're going to prioritize saving the smartest number of people they can from this theoretical event, which then...
Isn't there another threat, Stacey, that they feel, which is like immigrants and people who are different than them too?
Well, so that's...
More like us?
I feel that that's like unexamined privilege, personally. Like, I feel like... I feel like if you come at them and you're like, oh, you hate immigrants, they'd be like, oh my God, no. But then if you actually question them, like a few layers down, they'll be like, well, yes, those people from developing countries are not as smart and as good as me. I mean, it's not their fault. They're from a developing country. Like, I think there's a lot to get.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of unexamined life there.
There's something that's even in the abstract here that I think is good context for this, describing the through line from AGI to eugenics. It says, as a result, many of the very same discriminatory attitudes that animated eugenicists in the past, such as racism, xenophobia, classism, ableism, and sexism, remain widespread within the movement to build AGI, resulting in systems that harm marginalized groups and centralize power while using the language of safety and benefiting humanity to evade accountability.
Yeah.
I'm sure that this paper is long. It's 42 pages. I haven't read it. It obviously goes into a lot more detail about that. But I think that that's like an interesting context to add to this discussion. I'm sure that there are many examples of TESCRAIL boys being outwardly racist, classist.
Well, I'll give you one example.
But there's also the trickle-down effects.
Exactly. The other example is that effective altruism at the beginning was buying mosquito nets at the cheapest possible way to save the maximum number of people, right? Oh, well, look how smart we are and how we use the money. It shifted to, well, actually, no, let's hold on to that money so that we can redesign the future for all those 10 to the 58th people in the future who we know more about. And, the people now in the mosquito, they're not so valuable. It comes out in those kinds of insidious ways.
Well, big picture, like super big macro human view, we have moved to a culture of like incredible individualism from more of a collectivism culture, right? And if you do, and as you do that and prioritize the individual, the people who will accrue power are the people who are going to want to retain that power and do so through ignoring, actively killing the rest of the collective that's not part of it. It's fun. It's fun, you guys.
I can see how
eugenics is fun.
I can see how
it's depressing, but I'm like, that's my sarcastic.
I can see how Torres and Gebru might conclude that the consequence of creating AGI would be harmful to marginalized groups, to workers, to privacy, etc. I think that may well be true. I think it's a little unfair to say that anybody who's interested in promoting AGI is interested in that consequence. Maybe they're not. I
think that's an interesting point, Leo. I think that the AGI, because there's a TESCRAIL piece and there's the AGI piece. Now, generally, I think what they would say is that AGI is BS, except for the guy who walked you on the beach and hypnotized you. It's never going to happen. It doesn't exist. It's crap. But it is used as a goal for people who do believe in the TESCREAL of TESCRAIL. And so they're intertwined. And a lot of the people who are pushing AGI are TESCRAIL people.
I guess I should re-examine my interest in AGI, which I'm pretty sure, although I'll have to read this and examine my inner soul deeply, but I'm pretty sure it's just a kind of a plain kind of technological interest in, well, can a machine think? That's interesting.
No,
actually, it says in the introduction, OpenAI defines AGI as highly autonomous systems that outperform humans at most economically valuable work. Nothing about thinking or feeling, which I think we've all talked at Leo ad nauseum about, is a BS framework and has no place on this podcast.
So, and OpenAI is probably correct. That's really what an AGI is about, is replacing humans. So I guess at that level, it's a form of anti-humanism.
Well, here's the other one that's important. Pigeon and Gertzel, I don't know how to pronounce either name, who popularized the term in 2007, define it as a, quote, software program that can solve a variety of complex problems in a variety of different domains. Okay, so far, but keeps going. And then controls itself autonomously, getting more interesting, keeps going, with, here's the hard part, its own thoughts, worries, feelings, strengths, weaknesses, and predispositions.
Like a human.
BS. Yeah.
We don't like that.
Well, and I mean, if you go by the idea that there's so many different types of intelligence, the current versions of AGI predicate like pretty much the traditional mainstream version of intelligence, which is you have access to a lot of information and you can synthesize it quickly to deliver some sort of new insight. But there's like, I don't see an AGI for maybe emotional or proprioceptive intelligence And I don't know. I think this is dumb. I've always thought it was dumb.
Yep.
That's my verdict.
It's an interesting paper. I really do think it's an interesting paper. And I guess one of the problems with scientific advancement in general is not thinking about the consequences of the work you're doing, or
I
even
think scientists thought. I think we have lost a lot in the last few years. Oppenheimer, I know the whole movie is about his failure to think through the consequences, but I think for a large portion of humanity in time, people have thought through the consequences. That was part of like the rubric of what people were doing when they were trying to invent stuff. Not everybody. I mean, there's obviously people who are engineering things who don't think about it. But I think what's happened today is we don't value that. We force people to invent quickly without thought. We prioritize. Again, I'll go with money. And it feeds all the way back to like how we value like certain types of education. And I do think this is kind of a thing that capitalism hath wrought. I'll just say it.
I had a conversation
in the conclusion of the paper, they say, we argue that attempting to build something akin to a god is an inherently unsafe practice.
Ding, 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 ding.
and urge researchers and practitioners to abandon this goal in lieu of building well-defined, well-scoped systems that prioritize people's safety. And I think that that's probably the case. I think that's accurate. I think that's good.
I think it is.
I also think that some people are interested in the idea of AGI just to see, can you do it?
Who knows? What's more than that? It's macho breastfeed. Look how smart I am. I can make a machine smarter than me.
Man, this is the plot of Evangelion. We're all going back to a 90s anime.
If you can do it, should you do it? Yeah. And that, I know, actually goes back to Jurassic Park. And the problem with this, what was the quote? The problem with you scientists is you were so anxious to figure out if you could do it, you never stopped to think.
No, it all goes back to Gutenberg and the creation of the first general machine.
As a 90s baby, as a 90s kid, I'm going to say that Paris is an analogy. Paris is way cooler than you are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is. I know that. So I had a conversation today with an executive at LinkedIn to learn things that for the new degree program I want to work on, and he was interested in saying, he's the guy who wrote a really good op-ed in the Times about 2 months ago, and he was saying that the impact of AI speaking our language and writing code and so on and so forth. I think after talking to him, I thought about it. I argue that from Gutenberg through today, the technology fades into the background when it gets boring, and then the creativity comes to the fore. It could be because AI is a literate machine. Though it's the most sophisticated technology you could argue we've ever had this side of nuclear power, it also, I think, accelerates the fading of the technologist and the technology into the background. Because, it just talks to us. Look what it can do. Which is good because it puts it more in the hands of more people, but it's bad in that we don't judge it as a technology to understand what it does.
You could argue the same thing about the divorce case. That's just same thing about software, right? Software has made it really easy to. I mean, I don't think. Do I think AI is important? Yes. I don't think it's like this end of civilization thing that we like to think about it as, simply because I guess we've lived through so many, but I could be wrong.
Well, you'll never know because we'll be dead.
There's always time for a major extinction event.
Exactly.
And by the way, you got the entire theme of Oppenheimer completely wrong.
Wasn't it that he did all this without thinking, and then he realized later that he was like, "Oh."
The point of Oppenheimer was that this jerk of a guy, Admiral Strauss, who had his feelings hurt because Oppenheimer kind of mocked him several times in congressional testimony, decided that Oppenheimer should pay for it by losing his clearance and being thrown off the AEC.
That's the whole fission part. There are two parts of the movie as shown in the title cards. This is coming from me, a person who saw Oppenheimer in theaters twice, and read American Prometheus, which I'd highly recommend. there's two parts in the movie, fusion and fission. The fission is the part you're describing. The fusion is the making of the atomic bomb, in which I believe his original response when tapped to do it is, no, I don't think I want to do this. I don't want to create a thing of human destruction and kill all these people. And they're like, well, the Nazis are going to do it first, as well as your old buddies in Germany. So we've got to be the fastest.
And he knew Heisenberg was good enough to do it. Yeah. So he said, well, I guess I have to do this because we can't let the Nazis have the atom bomb. But then you're right. You got it turned around. Fission was what he did. And then fusion, which is the hydrogen bomb, he didn't want to go ahead with doing the hydrogen bomb because he thought it really was too dangerous.
Okay. So he was thoughtful. So never mind.
He was thoughtful. He went kicking and screaming, Oppenheimer did. He knew what he was doing. But he and all the people at Los Alamos never thought that they were going to drop 2 bombs. They thought it was maybe going to be a one-time thing to scare people into stopping it. As they show in the movie, he was involved in targeting and choosing Hiroshima and Nagasaki as the targets.
It's in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah. So,
and that's the real what Oppenheimer is actually about. Whoever pays for it gets to use it.
Yep.
Thank you, Benito, for solving this conundrum. It is interesting, though, that it's about Strauss being so butthurt because Oppenheimer mocks.
It's all about optics, what we were just talking about before.
I was about to say, this is what radicalizes these people into the test creel world. Like, if you look at
minor little petty injuries,
like Mark Andreessen, if you look at
Peter
Elon
Thiel.
Musk,
he's a baby. So is Thiel.
These people,
so is Elon. They're all babies.
They're butthurt. I hate saying that phrase because it feels like I'm a teenage boy, but it's true. Like something really personally offends them and they feel attacked, and then they go completely 180 and double down. It's crazy to me.
It's male ego.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's because the sort of people who pursue political power are the ones who have an inflated sense of self, want to have control over something. I mean, they also want to do good, but frankly, the way the American political system is, you have to be in a position where you're saying, I am the one who is going to be making these decisions. And that requires a bit of egotism. So, of course, when you get that ego damaged in some way, you're going to respond.
Yeah. Right. Yes, it's malignant narcissism at work. But I do think perhaps the secondary part of Oppenheimer was how vindictive Admiral Strauss was.
Oh, absolutely.
And punished Oppenheimer for the most minor offense and hurt the country because Oppenheimer's voice then was not heard and his opposition to fusion was not heard. So in a way, that did have that minor injury had a massive consequence. To me, that was also part of the point of the movie. You're right. Maybe it was a little bit about Oppenheimer, too.
A little bit.
He was in the title. Okay. Hey, let's take a little break. We are so glad to have Stacey Higginbotham with us. You add so much to the conversation. This has been such a fun show. Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham, Paris Martineau. Thank you all three of you for being here. But first, a word from our sponsor, CashFly. For over 20 years, CashFly has held the track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery, serving over 5,000 companies in over 80 countries. And we know all about this because at Twit, we've been using CashFly since we started. It was one of the biggest problems I had to solve is we were so popular out of the gate, we couldn't serve everybody who wanted to download our shows. And I tried everything. I actually had BitTorrents set up so that people could help us serve it. It didn't work. Matt Levine from CashFly called, said, I can save you. We're going to save you. Come over to CashFly. And we've been with them ever since. CashFly is awesome. We love their lag-free video loading, their hyper-fast downloads, their friction-free site interactions. It's the only CDN, content delivery network, built for throughput. And as an example, we don't use this, but this is so cool. I think if we had an event, we would do this. Their ultra low latency video streaming delivers video to over 1 million concurrent users with latencies under 1 second. If you have games, their lightning fast gaming delivers downloads faster, 0 lags, glitches, or outages. Mobile content optimization offers automatic and simple image optimization so your site loads faster on any device. And what was important to us, I didn't know how we were going to pay for it. CashFly has flexible month-to-month billing. So you can learn where the spikes, the peaks, the valleys are. You can smooth out the usage so you don't have sudden huge bills unexpectedly. So it's flexible month to month. Once you figure it out, once you know what your usage is going to be, you get discounts for fixed terms. The point is you design your own contract when you switch to CashFly. CashFly delivers rich media content up to 158% faster than other major CDNs and allows you to shield your site content in their cloud, assuring a 100% cache hit ratio. With CashFly's elite managed packages, you get the VIP treatment. Your dedicated account manager will be with you from day one, ensuring a smooth implementation and reliable 24/7 support when you need it. Learn how you can get your first month free at cashfly.com/twit. You've heard me say it again and again. Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com. Go to cashfly.com/twit to find out more. Thank you, CashFly. Thank you.
Distribute by BitTorrent?
We did distribute by BitTorrent. There was no, so I didn't know.
A lot of real networks, right?
Yeah, the first time we put the podcast app, this was 19 years ago. Today, April 17th.
Happy
2005.
birthday,
Twit.
I just realized.
Happy birthday to Twit.
So 19 years ago.
Happy birthday to
Twit.
Happy
birthday to you.
And people say AI-generated music will never make it. I tell you.
The three most tone-deaf people in the world singing over a Zoom call.
It's hard to do it on Zoom because everybody's a little bit different.
Rough.
Well, that's what made it even more fun, yes.
It was 19 years ago today. The first show was just me and a bunch of buddies. We got together at a brew pub. I had some equipment. I recorded it, and something like 14.
You recorded it in a bar?
Yeah, in a bar.
Wow.
And I called
we used
it
to do our show. Our CES show was in the bar. So yeah.
Yeah, I know we've done it. And I can't remember, 30 or 40,000 people downloaded it. There it is, episode 1.
Who was on it? Kevin Rose,
Patrick Norton, David Prager. It was all the screensavers people I worked with on Tech TV. And it wasn't called This Week in Tech. It was called The Revenge of the Screensavers, but Comcast did not like that and sent me a cease and desist. So we had to find another name. But I didn't know anything about this, so I put it on a website. And the website crashed immediately, right? You couldn't, there's no way to put a show, within a few months, we were getting 250,000 downloads a week. There was no way to put a show on a website. So I was sending it to people and saying, could you seed this? And then telling people the BitTorrent address so they could download. It was horrible. It was just, you have to have to do this, you have to have a CDN. It's a lot easier now. If you were starting a podcast now, you'd go to Spotify or Libsyn or one of the big podcast companies, and they would handle all that for you. But at the time, no one knew how to do this. CashFly saved our lives. There would not be a network without them. So that's why I'm always grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 19 years. We're going to have a little party on Sunday. We have an open studio, and I have...
Oh, that's why Sunday's open.
Well, it's one of the reasons, yeah. And I think there's 25 or 30 people. We have room for 14. So we're going to figure, we'll have people be sitting on the floor. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to get everybody in. And we're going to have a live show. Mike is going to be there. Jason Howell's going to come back, join us for that. Abrar Al-Hidi will be in studio. I'll be in studio. That'll be really fun. And I think we're going to go out afterwards to Lagunitas and have a little party to celebrate. So we're all inviting everybody. Yeah. By the way, that's open to Club Twit members. I shouldn't be saying if you want to come, but please. Come.
No, Lisa's going to
storm the studio.
Storm the studio.
Lisa's screaming, saying, no more.
Fire marshal is somewhere over there shaking their fist.
I don't know. What are they going to do? Shut us down?
People, in spirit.
That'd be pretty good radio.
Tickets.twit.tv. If you're going to come, let us know. We'll try to find a place for you. It's one of the things we try to do, make Club Twit fun. We really am, if you don't want to see me eating beans on the show in the future, join Club Twit. $7 a month. Supports everything we do. Supports Paris and Stacy and Jeff and the Benito and the lights, keeps the lights on the studio. It's the only way we're going to be able to survive this because the downturn in advertising really is so dramatic. But thank goodness we have Club Twit members. It's less than 2% of the total audience. I'd like to get it to 5.
10.
If we got it to 5 or 10, I wouldn't need advertisers at all, and we could launch new shows. We could also. We really wanted to do an AI show, but we didn't have the money. So, I'm glad that you and Jason are doing that, Jeff, yourself. But that's what happens is we have to kind of, pare it down. We don't want to do any more of that if we don't have to, and your help will make a big difference. twit.tv/clubtwit, $7 a month. We did cancel the yearly plan because I don't know if we'll be here in a year.
That depresses the hell out of me.
I know.
It's really sad. A year would be the 20th. You got to make it to 20.
I quit the radio show after 19 years. And I thought I probably should.
Why you got to one up yourself? You got to make it to 20.
It's just a number. It's an odometer number. It's not. 19 years is a long time for a podcast network.
Yeah, I didn't last that long.
Yeah.
Stacy is supposed to say something different. Ixnay on the Astley say.
No, she's right. It doesn't. We've lasted a long time. We're happy. I have enough. I've saved enough to retire.
You got to keep working till you die.
I'll tell you what.
That's the American way.
Yeah.
I want. this is a case of I don't have to, but I want to. I don't need the money, but I would really like to keep covering this AGI thing. What's happening with AI? All of this stuff is so interesting. For the first time, I'll admit it, I was getting a little bored about 4 years ago. It just seemed like there was nothing new, nothing interesting happening. And all of a sudden, with AI, it's really gotten interesting again. So, and with the battle between the people and big tech and how big tech has gotten, and it's a very interesting time. And I think we have an important job to do. So I want to keep doing it. I think that's
so. Help us, people, please.
You just need 5 to 10% of you.
That seems like an impossible number, but
public radio can do it. You guys can do it.
Public radio's not doing it anymore. You know that, right?
No, this is why we have to do our 24-hour marathon sign up for Club Twit.
All right.
I'll do an hour.
Stacy will take an hour. See,
I'll take. Yeah, I'll
we're
give you
filling
2
this
hours.
up. I'll do as many hours as you need.
All right.
I've got
Paris
nothing
is like,
going
I'll
on.
go crazy.
You guys,
listen.
she's
I'll
young
get a tattoo for it.
I love it. Thank you. You guys are fantastic. I really appreciate it. We love what we do. It's fun. We're lucky. We know we're lucky. We know we have a privileged position. But we also, I think we all think it's what we're doing is important.
It is.
It's not trivial. So pick a story. What else you want to talk about? We got a few more minutes before we have to wrap this up.
Oh, I want to talk about, where is it? Line 113.
Crypto trader.
If you're a crypto trader who's about to do a big fraud, typically what you don't want to do is you don't want to open up Google and search in things like elements of fraud and statute of limitations market manipulation.
Oh my God.
Apparently, the story is that a trader was accused of stealing $110 million from a cryptocurrency exchange called Mango Markets, searched these terms as well as market manipulation criminal and FBI surveillance right before he did some market manipulation. He apparently manipulated future contracts in October 2022 when he boosted the price of swaps for on this cryptocurrency exchange by 1,300% in 20 minutes, and then borrowed against those inflated contracts using anonymous accounts before fleeing Puerto Rico for Israel.
What's wrong with that, though, really?
I mean, I guess you shouldn't do financial crimes.
I was going to say, swaps, actually, shorts on swaps against derivatives was one of the things that caused the housing bubble to burst back in 2008.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least he picked something really complicated.
Right.
Yeah.
That's going to take a little bit of time to unwind, except leaving the search terms does. But he didn't use incognito mode.
The Mango Markets
would have gotten dumped.
was crazy. It was all smart contracts overseen by a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. I mean, it was itself an extremely complicated derivative market. So I'm amazed that the feds could figure out what he did.
Well, I mean, with cryptocurrency, there's a ledger.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, when the feds are looking for evidence of securities fraud, typically how they do that is they look to see who made it big on trades that happened, right after a stock moved in some dramatic way, and see if anybody had made some suspicious trades. It's way easier to do that when everything is on a ledger.
It's all recorded.
Yeah.
Eat with the future, pay with your face.
Moral panic. Moral panic.
Who is this? Who put this one here?
Lois Beckett in The Guardian. Eat the future, pay with your face. My dystopian trip to an AI burger joint.
She sees a robotic French fryer and calls it absolutely terrifying.
Oh, jeez.
Come on.
Oh, no.
Come on.
Wait.
I say that.
The
and then people get
deck on
mad
this
at me.
story is insane. It is, if the experience of robot-served fast food dining is any indication, the future of sex robots is going to be very unpleasant. Excuse me?
The Guardian has issues. I love them, but they got issues about
I
tech
visited
and sex.
Cali Express last week to find out what an all-American lunch served with a side of existential dread tastes like. When I entered the restaurant, located near Caltech University in Pasadena, I was greeted with giant posters advertising the, quote, frying AI robot marvel, but few actual customers. Most of the people inside were other journalists. Oh, well. A television crew hovered over the grill machine. The space was decorated with early prototypes of robot arms, as well as a riff on Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel with a human hand reaching out not to the hand of God, but to a robot claw holding French fries. Apparently, this is all tied into the fact that California raised the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour. So this restaurant created a fully autonomous AI-powered robotic restaurant to churn out burgers and fries. A small number of humans
way back in like 2000.
Yeah. It's the automat. A small number of humans still required to push the buttons on the machine and assemble the burgers and toppings.
So a friend of mine actually hosts a newsletter about robotic food, or did. And these things have been around before like ChatGPT and our latest AI iteration. It's true. Wage pressure is driving this, and the fact that rents are super high, labor costs are high.
Have you ever been to a Cheeto factory? There's no people in there.
No, I haven't, Leo. Have you?
Yes, via TikTok.
I wish I'd been in a Cheeto factory.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite TikTok topics is how things are made.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I thought Cheeto factories?
Yeah. Well,
how do they puff them?
There's no humans involved. It's a conveyor belt automated line of, but all these Pringles, same thing.
So
this
people
was
got mad at me.
depicted in the 1999 movie Chicken Run.
Yeah,
actually, I should mention that our Club Twit watch along.
Stacey loves you, Paris.
I'm having a lot of 90s references today for animation.
I love this. Thank you. The chicken pot pie maker.
Yeah.
We are going to watch the very famous. Actually, did we figure out if we can watch it or not? No, I've forgotten.
Tell us what you're talking about.
Fritz Lang's Metropolis, which came out in 1927, is about all this, right?
Yeah.
1927. And we were going to do a watch along. In fact, you're all invited. It's going to be at the Laporte House. And all the Club Twit members, and we're all going to watch the movie together and make fun of the vision of the future, which involved, I think, quite a few robots, as I remember.
So Blue Sky and Threads can get fairly scoldy. I still like them better than, of course, Twitter. It's not hard. But I complained about this story, and people are just, well, it's capitalism and it's technology. I said, it makes French fries. you don't understand. You don't say. I said, it makes French fries. That's all. It just makes French fries. What's the big?
You know.
And if anyone's ever worked a fryer, That's not a fun job.
Exactly.
It's dangerous.
But it's the first step to eugenics. You've got to agree to that.
We could probably find the right point to get off that ride and stop developing that particular thing before we get to eugenics.
What is Vigil?
This one is another interesting new AI tool that's going to scare everybody. I put that in there, but it replaces one part of a video image with another. So if you
I've been seeing a lot of Vigils lately.
Yes, you have.
So the idea is you can have the Joker doing his dance, Joaquin Phoenix doing his creepy, weird dance down the steps, but instead make it be Elon Musk.
Right, so
and it looks just like
Benito
Elon
Musk. This.
Benito, you got to play some Vigils. Yeah, you take a beginning and you animate. You can. It's like a prosody, which takes a voice and applies another person's cadence to the generated voice to make it sound. Here you go. Here's the Joker
video, and he told me, man, you got to talk about how to use Vigil and Comfy UI to get the best results.
Oh, no, we got to see the output. This is going to be a how-to.
Help it, but if you can avoid it, then that's going to be.
No, we need the.
Yeah. You got to search for Vigils.
Go to the one above. Go to the one above. You can do it. Sorry, Benito, my fault.
Vigil, rocking everywhere, as they say.
Is that a 90s reference?
No, I believe it's a reference to the song, an LMFAO song that has wiggle, rocking everywhere.
There you go.
I could be wrong.
If it's Vigil.ai, right?
That's a 90s band, though, isn't it?
Probably.
It's not loading.
It's not loading.
What's wrong with your internet? You got to talk to the people who run that place.
Okay, I got it.
Vigil.ai, and you can see how they take a person doing something and apply what she's doing. Yeah, there's a bunch of demo videos on there.
How far down do I
Vigil this?
Oh, this is the bottom. So.
Oh, well, never mind.
All right.
We'll leave this as an exercise for the listener. Do your Vigil work.
Go to Twitter and search for Vigil. No, you don't. No, never mind. Don't.
Never go to Twitter and search for anything. It would be my suggestion. Yeah. All right. Ready for a chatbot version of your favorite Instagram influencers? Asks the New York Times. Instagram is testing a program that offers its top influencers the ability to interact with their followers over direct messages using a chatbot. Because who has time to talk to real people?
It's funny because this is already what OnlyFans creators do, except for not with chatbots. I think they hire people to I've often seen this because people are talking about just dudes in like their rooms or at an office sitting there pretending to be an OnlyFans creator messaging people sexy things, which I think is quite funny.
Why not?
But I guess now
Turk for OnlyFans.
Yeah. But now mechanical Turk.
We talked about this when Meta's first did this with what was it, Kylie Jenner, and they did it with a handful of influencers, celebrities. Billy, the character that was inspired by Kylie Jenner, has 193,000 followers on Instagram. Anyway, who cares? I don't care. You know what? Go for it. Let's do a changelog. This is the stuff that really matters.
It is.
The Google changelog.
That's louder than usual.
It's a big, loud Google changelog for everybody.
Heralding a changelog. It'll last 2 seconds.
Google Maps will use AI. In fact, I think it's the case that for the last like 3 or 4 shows, Google Maps has been the big thing in the changelog.
Yes,
it's like they keep adding features to Google Maps. Now Google Maps will use AI to help you find out-of-the-way EV chargers.
Wow.
Okay.
Finally.
Google Maps. There's more. Well, now we'll show
Trump's reaction to Gettysburg, Paris.
Oh, that was wow.
Oh,
holy cow.
Gettysburg.
Wow.
That video was pretty good, yeah.
It was
EV chargers. Wow.
Horrible and beautiful at the same time. Never fight uphill, me boys.
Me boys.
Never fight uphill. Google Maps is... Oh, Lord.
We laugh, but...
Google Maps will suggest transit walking alternatives next to driving routes. Now, this is actually good. It's going to be also consider, like an also consider card. Hey, you could drive, but you know what? You could also walk, and it might be faster, especially if you live in New York
Or it might
City.
take 42 hours, which it does to me sometimes.
Depends, yeah. This is going to come to 15 cities around the world: Amsterdam, Barcelona, London, Montreal, Paris, Rome, and Sydney. It is true. It's probably easier to walk somewhere in Rome than it is to drive. That's good. That's to kind of promote, people using eco-friendly means of transport. Google can now convert text on a website into the thing you most want. What would that be? Ads.
Finally.
Google AdSense is debuting a new format for websites that converts existing text on a site into a shortcut for Google search. It's called Ad Intents. Not Ad Intents.
As in, that's very intense, or
it's like it's intent. What do you intend to do?
Yeah, it's
Ad intents.
in a tent. The ad.
Intent. You're in a tent and you're watching an ad. Google AdSense places links into existing text on what? Okay, they place links into existing text on a web page, which will launch a Google search. The new format, which requires no third-party cookies to show relevant ads, overlays search results over the page you're viewing when you click the link. Okay. So I could be looking at text and I don't understand. But anyway, it's a way to put text.
Most of ad text doesn't.
Yeah, I know. This is the fun part. We call it, maybe you remember this, the Google changelog that Leo never, ever wants to do. The struggle to understand what's new.
Is this important?
No.
What's new here?
None of this is important.
Why?
And that's the Google changelog.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth. Let us pause to remember the late lamented Google changelog and hope that we can get Stacy to come back someday. And then do our picks of the week. And you have brought some wonderful picks in the past, Stacy Higginbotham. Would you like to bring us another one?
Love how you start with me every time if I'm on the show.
I do. I always go with you first because you always got good stuff.
I abdicated. Yeah, sure. I abdicated. Yes, my throne. My throne.
She was the queen, but she abdicated.
As the queen of the smart home, I've abdicated that throne. So I don't have a really fun, connected gadget to bring. But I do have a really awesome book.
Good.
It is, what's it called? Hold on. I want to make sure I have that right.
It's not I Am Legion, the Bobaverse Volume 1, is it?
It is not. It's not a science fiction one.
Oh, okay.
It is a Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. And it came out, I think, maybe late last year, maybe early this year. Okay, y'all. It is set in Ireland. It is basically how a normal person would view a country going into fascism.
Oh,
look, it came out
very
in
close to
August.
home.
Okay. It is so hard to read, but it is so good. And I don't know if I'm recommending it to you because I want you to read it and be like, oh, wow, this is so easy. Or if I want you to be just as traumatized as I was, or if maybe we can talk about it afterwards and be like I really wanted to parts of the time throw it across the room. This is not a resounding review, but
it did get the Man Booker Prize for 2023. It's
really well written. It was very stressful for me to read because I feel like I live with someone who would behave this way. And it feels very close to home. Maybe it's a terrible book to read right before the election. Maybe it's a really prescient book to read right before the election. It's really good, though.
Oh, my goodness. I think I will read this. I'm putting it on my Audible list. Prophet Song by Paul Lynch.
It's one of those examples where there's an audio CD available, but it's not on Audible.
Oh, maybe he's all crazy and doesn't want to feed.
No, this is on Audible. No, this is on Audible.
It is? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that can happen. Rights, you know how it is.
I know,
with
it's
rights.
right. I thought what
it's
you
all
before.
crazy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, don't read this too close to the election. Is that what you're saying, Stacey?
Please don't. Yeah, seriously, do not.
Okay.
I mean, it was stressful reading it like 2 months ago.
I'm already pretty stressed, so yeah. Okay, good. And I should mention that Stacey's book club is a week from tomorrow. It's the 24th, and we are going to be doing the Bobaverse book 1 of the series, which I thought was wonderful and hysterical, but I'm curious what Stacey thinks. It is called I Am Legion.
We are Legion.
Legion.
We are Bob. I just looked it up. And it is
I can tell you
B-O-B-I verse, because I thought you were saying Baba verse, like B-A-B-A.
Not boba, like boba tea? No.
Yeah, like Boba verse.
No, it is not. It is a great book by Dennis Taylor. I can give you the premise because it all starts in the first page.
As many books do.
Bob.
Well played.
What I'm telling you, let me
well played.
No, a lot of books don't start on page 1. They start on page 4 or 5. It's very confusing. No, what I mean to say is what I'm about to tell you happens in the first page or 2. So I'm not ruining the novel for you. Bob Johansson is Bob. He just sold his software company, made a lot of money. He's not going to be working anymore. He's going to put his feet up. And he's in Las Vegas to say goodbye to his team, and he decides, right before he goes home, he says, what I should do is I got a lot of money. I should buy one of those things where they take your brain after you die and you put it on ice, and maybe someday I'll be, reincarnated or brought back or whatever. So he pays for it and walks out the door and immediately gets clobbered by a car. The next thing you know, he wakes up a century later and he's in a machine. And what gets interesting, and the reason it's called We Are Legion, We Are Bob, is he's not alone. They've taken his brain and they've made many other Bobs, all with the same personality. It's a wonderful book. I love the premise, and I think it's fun. There are 4 of them. A 5th is on the way.
Books, not Bob.
Yeah, there are many, many more Bobs than that. We actually, by book 3, I think there's a female enters a story who's also getting cloned. It's really interesting. It's quite interesting. I don't know if you will like it, Stacey. It's kind of might not be your cup of tea. So, but I suggested it. They voted it in. It'll be the book club on Thursday, a week from tomorrow. And I've promised that I will not influence the jury next time. Stacey will get to pick one of her horrible books, and we'll read that.
Horrible. I give people a choice of books, like a wide variety. You know what? You got excited about the one you eventually hated. At least one of the ones you hated.
Is this the one you were describing as really depressing, Leah?
Yes. No, but that's the funny thing is she's now come up with another one, this prophet book.
That sounds also
The Water Knife by Paolo Gacigalupi, and I love him as an author. And I'll have to be honest, Stacey, by the time I'd finished the book, I kind of liked it more. But it's a very grim near future reality.
I did not like The Water Knife, but people voted for it. I told people, I was like, this book is going to make you sad. I also gave them happier books.
Why don't we do the Prophet Song next time?
No, that's not a science fiction. I'm only going to do happy book. Well, I don't know.
I loved Clara and the Sun. That was wonderful.
You hated our cozy mystery set in space.
I didn't even finish that. I don't like cozies.
What's the cozy mystery set in space? That sounds
It wasn't a cozy mystery. It was just cozy.
Cozy
space
sci-fi. Too many alien species in it for me, personally.
If you want a cozy mystery set in space,
I do.
Hold on. I'll tell you. Come back to me and I'll tell you.
Stacey is really good on these. She's got a lot of good recommendations in sci-fi. She reads a lot. I watch TV a lot, which is why I
listen to a lot of podcasts about Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh dear.
Okay. It's Malka Older is the name of the author, and then the first book in the series. It is literally a cozy mystery set in space.
Wow.
It's The Mimicking of Known Successes.
Ooh,
but that's not the one we did.
No. I am actually going to throw it out there as a potential book.
Good.
Ooh, a queer science fiction romance mystery. Love that.
So Stacy's book club originally was sci-fi books that advanced beyond, the 1960s and 70s and white men
stuff. Yeah. Which this Bobiverse book is current, but it's kind of in that genre.
But it's Bob.
It's kind of a guy.
It's all about Bob.
Yeah, Bob. It's all about Bob. So I predict you're going to hate it. But anyway, we'll see. We'll find out Thursday.
Oh, yeah. And Murder Bot Diaries was our first book club ever.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
We enjoy it. And if you want to join us, you can on the 24th, but you got to be a member of Club Twit. And all the details are in the Discord at Club Twit. Paris, a prediction?
I got 2 picks. One is what I think is the superior New York Times game, Strands. It's still in beta. Have you guys played it?
Is that the new one?
It is a new one.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's kind of like a word search, but there's a theme and there's like only specific right answers. So it looks kind of like a word search, but you'll be given a theme up top. And basically there are 9 correct answers. It fills up every square in the word search. And then one of the words you're trying to find, it's kind of like a revealer in crossword. It's like related to the theme. And it's called a spanogram because it spans the crossword. So it'll either go from the top of the word search to the bottom or from the left to the right. And it's just really fun. So this one is the long run. So you're going to look for words, I guess, related to running, or it could be something punny or something like that.
So you don't do
fun.
I see, right.
But also if you can't figure it out, if you just go and search for normal words, like a normal word search, every 3 words you find, it gives you a hint. It shows you where the word is. So it'll help you reveal it. So I think one of these is probably race. I think
so
race
marathon up at the top
because macaroni is in there.
Marathon is up the top,
marathon, right?
Which I think could be a spanogram. So you can go from all over. So from that M to that A, it's it's a funky word search, and then to the R down there, and then down to the A,
yeah,
and then thon, yeah. And it's a spanogram because it goes all the way across. I don't know. It's really fun. I've been playing it all the time.
Like race, rare, rain, macaroni, none of them are the theme. So now I have a hint, I guess.
So now you have a hint, but it's part of it is you trying to figure out what is or is not the right theme of it. Some of them are easier than others.
Is that Benito we saw playing?
Yes.
Yes. It wasn't me.
I see.
So it's Boggle. It's Boggle.
I'm terrible at these. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm really bad at the. I could do the other games very well, but this word searching thing, I have a aversion to. I guess
you get better.
I lost my entire family to the Netflix word trails thing.
What is that?
It's terrible. So I think it's on Netflix, and they're small games. It's word trails, which is it's a crossword. Yeah, you fill it. You have, it's Boggle. You have 6 or 7 letters, and then you have what looks like a crossword thing.
Yeah.
And then you just fill in the thing. Oh my God.
And it's a game on Netflix?
Yeah. Go word trails.
Now.
Yeah, they
I
have
didn't know
games.
Netflix had games.
If you like this, you'll love spending time doing that.
I will. I'm right now I found a site that hosts the illegal archives of past
there you go.
zones of these. So when I'm done with that, I'll do that. My other thing is very silly, but I saw it and I thought you guys would find it fun. It's cow magnets. Which
not something you put on your fridge.
No, not something you put in your fridge. This site explains, what is a cow magnet? Have you ever heard of this type of magnet? Actually, cow magnets are very popular with farmers, ranchers, and veterinarians because they're a well-known method of preventing hardware disease in cattle. Hardware disease is basically where cows just eat some sort of metal and then it ends up in their digestive tract and hurts them when they try to expel it. So in order to fix it, what they just basically do is they give the cow a big magnet, they swallow it, and it sits there and it just collects all the metal. It's cow magnets.
Do they occasionally
Do they ever open up the cow and get it out, or does it live there?
Oh, it just stays there.
I think it just stays there.
They're very strong magnets, Alnico magnets, in the shape of a smooth rod, about 1/2 inch by 3 inches.
This is life with Paris.
How do you find out about cow magnets?
Honestly, I saw it on Y Combinator's news website. Sometimes I just go on there to look at it.
Don't tell me it's worth $10 billion.
I must have missed the Hacker News cow magnet piece. I love Hacker News.
They just linked to this website, and I was like, listen, I'm here for cow magnets.
This is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew? I wonder, I bet you there are people in our audience who are saying right now, oh, yeah, cow magnets. Sure.
Yeah, that's why you can't take a cow through TSA.
You didn't know that? Yeah.
I just think it would be really funny if we approached like human medicine, like these veterinarians, where it's like, people keep eating metal and getting sick. Let's just put a big magnet in there.
Scooter X has put a link to the Amazon cow magnets listing. Master Magnetics original cast Alnico 5 cow magnet. 1/2 inch in diameter, 3 inches long. Pack of 2 for $22.
That's reasonable. Oh, it's got a little cartoon cow inside diagram. That's interesting.
Ooh.
But you could only feed them one, because if they ate 2,
they
would get perforations.
Snack together.
Yeah.
The history there. You need the cow's privacy to be violated under HIPAA. So you don't do 2.
People who bought the Master Magnetics original cast cow magnet also bought, and then it's just a bunch of cow magnets.
The last slide in this Amazon display is a thing that says, vets agree, get magnets in the cows early.
Oh my God. Don't wait till cows are already sick. Make them swallow this now. I wonder if humans should do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole dangerous things, putting the little magnets in your hands and whatnot.
Here explains. One magnet works for the life of the cow. Administer with an ordinary balling gun.
Oh.
Ow.
What's
I don't know and I don't want to know.
Poor cows.
Poor cows.
Poor cows.
Poor cows. Well, thank you for that interesting.
Yeah, I thought you guys would like cow magnets.
Yeah. Oh, did you scroll down on the Master Magnetics Amazon page? They have a picture of their founding family.
Oh.
Oh, my.
They definitely look like that photo was taken in the 70s.
We invented the cow magnet.
Wow.
Let's see, who does this leave? Jeff Jarvis, pick of the week.
Okay, so it wasn't that many years ago when about this time of year you'd turn on Twitter when it was still Twitter, and you'd be inundated with one-liners and T-shirt sayings and bumper stickers from TED. Now hardly anybody talks about TED. Hardly anybody TED. The TED speakers this year were kind of scary, but I'll leave that aside. But I did put up, so Vinod Khosla, the famous VC, put up his 10 slides. You want to see technological determinism and utopianism? Oh my. Just a few of them. Number 1, expertise will be near free. What BS? Was it Vinod you walked with on the beach, Leo?
Shh.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, because Vinod would never let anyone near his beach.
That's true. Oh, you're right. You're right. He didn't exactly. No, expertise is not going to be nearly free. We're not going to have AI doctors. Don't hand your body and your child over to AI. Number 2, labor will be near free. That's the dream of an investor. That's ridiculous. We will have 1 billion bipedal and other robots, freeing humans from the servitude of undesirable jobs. BS. 3, computers will grow expansively. Fine, easy. 4, AI will play a large role in entertainment and design. Yeah. Number 5, internet access will be mostly by agents, which is to say you won't be getting to the internet. You'll be taken to the internet by these middlemen or middle robots.
By your AI.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just flying.
I actually think that last one is not too far off from how we access information on the internet today.
Well, there's three phases of AI, Stacey. I have learned this going to AI events. There's the analytic and the generative, and then the agentic. But you don't get to agents until you trust the suckers, because you're not going to have it do tasks for you.
See, and I maintain that you won't have trust in a capitalistic society for any of these, because their goals and your goals are not the same.
So what we need to do is we need to go back into the song app, and we need to prime it to do a version of the Internationale for Stacey. Okay?
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
really
so
good.
sorry. I've been radicalized the opposite
Communist.
way. I know.
The other thing I want to, since you mentioned books, I want to recommend, I just finished listening to Percival Everett's James.
Oh, I've got to listen to that. Is it good?
It is. Yeah, listen to it because it's really well done.
Huckleberry Finn, as told by the other one, the black guy.
And not unlike
Slave Jim. Yeah.
The movie American Fiction was based on his book. His title I'm suddenly forgetting. There's a lot about language, and the great thing about the conceit of the book is that James is quite literate and well read, but has to use slave language to make the white people feel comfortable with them. It's the reverse of code switching in a magnificent way. It's really well done and
I can't wait.
and I recommend it.
Yeah, I hear good things about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you. You all are marvelous. It's always fun to spend time with you. Stacey, we love seeing you again. Come back anytime. I'll see you in a week at our book club, and we'll come up with some fun book to read next time. Stacey forgot to read the Bobiverse book, so she has a week to read it now. So it's an easy read. You won't have.
Have you ever heard of
blowing
Evelyn
up her
Woods?
spot, Leo.
The Evelyn Woods method, speed reading.
No, don't do that. Read it every
I'll
word.
read the book. My gosh, you guys.
It's a week.
Not that long. It's easy. It's fast.
A week.
It's fun. Yeah.
I don't have a full-time job anymore. It's all that good.
Well, but she is a policy feller at Consumer Reports, which is fantastic.
Hey, you know what?
The policy gentleman.
You cannot call me a feller. I refuse.
So great to see you, Stacey. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Give our love to Kevin as well. Next time you're at the Wawa. Paris Martineau writes at The Information, theinformation.com. Still working on that big scoop.
I am. I was in the writing fugue state earlier today.
Oh, sorry we broke you out of that. I apologize.
No, thank you.
If you have it.
In the storm.
I was going to say, there comes a time in the deadline process where you start thinking thoughts like, wouldn't it be nice to not know how to read and things like that? And, but I'm over it now.
Do you have a hard time like closing it out, like saying, okay, no more, I'm going to write the story?
Oh, yeah, no, that's the main thing. An editor, that's the main component of my editor-reporter relationship is the editor is like, all right, Paris, you've done enough digging. Time to put it on paper. Yeah.
Time to write it.
And I'm like, wait, but more digging.
Is that because you like the digging so much or because you hate the writing so much?
I like writing. I think it's just, I also really like the digging quite a lot. And I think that it gets difficult, I guess, the more work you put in a story. Where if you've been doing interviews and research for weeks and weeks, the idea of putting it all on paper seems more daunting than it actually is. And it's always, I don't know, there was a chart that I think Aaron Griffith, now a reporter at the New York Times, wrote about the emotional journey of filing a story. And there's one part of it which was labeled like the tranche of despair, which is like after the high of like, oh, wow, this story is fantastic. I love the idea. I love reporting. Then it's like, I have to commit this to paper. Everything I've ever known or written sucks. But then you get out of the tranche of despair and you're like, wow, the story's
get out of the tranche of despair.
Thank you.
And into the highs of having written.
That's all I can hope for.
You remind me of Harriet the Spy. Did you ever read those books?
No, but I know the reference.
Yeah. That she also liked to do the research. Jeff Jarvis is a professor, former professor. I don't know what the hell he is. Executive director of the Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York.
Should we play it out with the other Craig song at the beginning?
Yeah, we will. We have other songs. In fact, I put another theme in the rundown we might want to try. His book, The Gutenberg Parenthesis, is available at gutenbergparenthesis.com, as is magazine, as is his, as will be his new book, The Web We Weave, How We Must Reclaim the Internet, soon to be available. You can get all three. You should have a bundle. The Jarvis bundle. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Have a great week. I will be back next week. Will you be back next week? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Can't get rid of me.
You're traveling sometime, right? You're going to go away sometime.
I might be coming up in California.
Oh, nice.
At some point in May.
Maybe we can get you to come over the bridge and come up and visit us. Thanks, Stacy. Thanks, Paris. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks to all of you. Thanks especially to our Club Twit members who made this show possible. We'll see you next week on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
You got to go back to your beans.